Hello friends, we are back. It is the REL 6 and REL 7 Div Preview for week 9 and 10. Oops. Yeah, I was incredibly sick last week. I had like one functional day, and it was Saturday, and then that was Cripple Cup. And after Cripple Cup, the last thing I wanted to do was do more casting. And then I felt bad again on Sunday, probably because I got up at 4 a.m. to play the Cripple Cup. So
might have been related, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So our schedules didn't really mesh very well last week, and I was also sick. So sorry about that. We will make it. It's sad that we missed a week. I don't like doing it, but we'll kind of make up for it now. We'll do both, both weeks. We miss a week of prediction points, but we are really bad at predictions this year anyway. So I mean, I guess it doesn't particularly matter.
Yep. I mean, we're gonna persevere last Thursday, but then my partner's friend from Australia was like, "Hi, suddenly I'm in town for one day only. So do you want to get drinks?" So we had to go do that.
And that kind of saved me, honestly. I really shouldn't have done the recap. I think I probably would have killed myself if I tried to, but
Poor buddy.
I was gonna try anyway. So I think that kind of saved my life a little bit there. So we're gonna look at the results from sort of week 8 and 9 and look at predictions for week 10. Normally we would be and then we'll look at the teams. Normally we'd be doing important match review things, but we think it kind of didn't make sense when we were looking back at 2 weeks trying to find matches. So we're just going to kind of flip-flop our regular schedule a little bit, and then next week we will do some match review things, because there's also some important matches next week in terms of playoff standings and implications and stuff, so it'll work out better that way.
Yep. So no pressure, but next week we're going to review Rouse of Storm versus Superfed, as you might expect, and JJ Cash versus Hellsdorf Home Wreckers.
Yeah, we have looked at some of those teams before, but we're kind of at the point where the matches are playoff implication matches, so we kind of want to pay attention to which teams could and could not make the playoffs and that sort of thing based on the matches. So do we want to go into REL 6? I assume that's a yes.
I was putting stew in my mouth.
So now we are small, and we are in REL 6, and this is the results for week 8 of REL 6. So we had With a Rebel Yell and Snake Kitties.
You predicted these, right? Yeah.
These should be ones that we predicted, yeah. So I predicted the Undead, and you predicted the Lizards here, and you win.
Yeah.
To extend that lead. 2-0. Saurus MVP is nice. Zombie MVP on the Dirty Player Zombie is like the worst thing you can imagine.
Yep. It's truly awful.
Lot of damage on both sides.
Yeah, a lot of punching. 2 kills inflicted by the Undead. Hopefully that was just skinks.
Oh, but if it's skinks, they don't get a zombie for any of them, do they?
No, they get them for Saurus.
Do they? Oh, right. It's strength 5 that won't become zombies. Strength 4 is
strength
fine.
5, it can't be stunty. And then I think there's a couple other stipulations, but
like, yeah, no regen and stuff like that.
Yeah. Looks like both of them had terrible armor rolls. They just armor broke at each other.
We're gonna
Rebel Yell suffering 11 breaks and Snake Kitty suffering 17.
Stop hitting yourself as I fall over and die.
Yep. Though it's worth noting, Snake Kitties made 15 of 13 injury rolls, wherein Rebel Yell made 15 out of 18, I should say, where With Rebel Yell failed half of theirs. So
Dead Saurus. So free zombie, but also Dead Saurus. We had Starry Fight and Wayside Warmongers. So in very us style, we predicted that Rumblebee would lose, and they tied 0-0. So that's kind of neat. We have a leveled Longbeard with MVP, and we have the Ogre getting MVP, which is kind of cool.
Always. Is this an actually injured? No, the Longbeard is fine.
25% ball possession versus 12% ball possession, so this ball was on the floor for like 80% of the game.
That's not math. But
nope, a lot of the game. I'm being hyperbolic.
You?
Yeah.
I thought that was me.
Very weird.
Lots of punching. The
dwarves attempted 7 catches, although that's very likely scatters bouncing into their hands and stuff.
Yeah, probably. Part of that it being on the ground thing.
57% pickups.
15 times and only got they got a reasonable amount of injuries out of that. They just couldn't turn that into.
Yeah, so the humans sustained 4 KOs, 5 casualties, 2 deaths, and an interception. And yet Rumblebee couldn't turn that into winning at least 1-0 somehow.
Rumble power.
A lot of failed pickups. He attempted to pick up the ball 7 times and got 4 successes. And the humans tried 6 times or tried 11 times and got 6 successes. So a lot of failure on both sides, really, I think, is what happened in this game. Good lord.
And then we had another Bloody Bell versus Scaled Measures. We both thought the Lizards would win this, and it actually was a tie. And this is pretty important because Not Nihilak is still in contention for that second playoff.
Yeah, Not Nihilak was up there. He's wasn't second, I believe, last time we did a Div review. Professor Chaos is the other option there. So Professor Chaos has pretty much got a spot. He's well and away above everybody. But Not Nihilak could be caught up to by other players, especially since he is only getting a draw here. So that's a big deal.
And that's a great MVP. Leveling a Saurus. It's exactly the sort of thing you want. I imagine it picked up guard. Looks like...
Took a lot of casualties.
Did a lot of punching. Yeah, did a lot of punching, but got outbashed. Weirdly.
Claw Mighty Blow is a thing sometimes, potentially?
I don't know if another Bloody Bell has a Claw Mighty Blow. I'd have to look.
That's a good question, but...
I mean, the Scaled Measures only sustained 17 armor break, or armor, only rolled armor 17 times, and it broke more than half. So that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Could also
Looks
be a lot
like
of
a fireball might have done work. I don't remember if fireball successes are you get knocked out. I think that's the case. So he got knocked down 3 out of 4. It looks like on a fireball.
I think so. The fireball rolls are weird in the dice log. I don't really know how they work.
So we're chainsaws.
Yeah, for that matter, they are.
And then we have Boss Hog Outlaws and Hausdorff Homewreckers, a Chorf-off. We expected the Chorfs with Claw Mighty Blow to win, and they did. 23 armor breaks to 6. I mean, one.
What do you expect? Yeah, Claw Mighty Blow in the Bash matchup. The Bash mirror, the team that is able to remove more players is going to win. And Hausdorff's Homewreckers had the tools to do that. Like, it's even similar number of blocks, right? 40 blocks to 35 blocks, but 23 armor breaks to 6 armor breaks. Shows you the power of Claw Mighty Blow in this type of matchup.
5 KOs sustained, 6 Kaz. So that means all 6 Kaz were from blocks. Yeah, Claw Mighty Blow doing things.
Yeah, and the dice log, like, this is always a thing that you see with Bash teams. If the Bash team is playing well, or like the Bash game is going their way, they have very few D6s rolled, because the vast majority of them are just going to be armor, because they're going to pick up the ball once, they're never going to dodge, and they're just going to like move. And there's like single digit number of dice rolled for well, not quite single, but 10, 10, 8, 12, like very low numbers for the D6s on Hausdorff's Homewreckers. Right, like they had a couple wake ups, they had 4 pickup attempts or 6 pickup attempts, which is a lot, but like not a whole lot of anything else. It's like armor, injury, casualties, wake up after KOs.
Yeah, when a team is designed to have Claw Mighty Blow access and it never gets Claw, it turns out it's not very good, balance wise. Professor Chaos, yeah, we were going to talk about this. 4-0 in an Orc mirror is definitely something worth talking about. It looks like... Yep,
we saw this and we're like, what the fuck?
It looks like, as Professor Chaos is saying, he just diced him into oblivion.
I kind of diced some Dark Elves into oblivion earlier, and even then I only won 2-0, but that's because I'm kind of a safe pansy and I sat in the end zone for a while instead of just scoring.
Yeah, I did that when I was dicing Dark Elves with my Chaos as well. It's bad form. You should win 4-0 when you can. It's good SVP.
Yeah, but it turns out he was, even though he only had a few Dark Elves on the pitch, a lot of them were KOs, and he also had like, he was going for it.
Ben's game recap.
I know, he was just going for it, right? Like, there was one Dark Elf like near the ball, and every turn it was like click Dark Elf, click ball. So like I knew if he got those KOs back, he was gonna try real hard. So I just played super safe. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, Greenskin Brawlers had the ball most of the time, like double the number of blocks of Orcsploitation Cinema. 6 casualties, 2 KOs, and a death sustain. So like, yeah.
And 29 SPP, Jesus Christ, dude.
Pretty serious punching.
Yep. Not much to say there.
Yeah, you like even Orcs 4s. It's hard to move the ball up the pitch that many times when you have movement 5.
Movement 6 blitzers, you're fine. And then we have first for second
what
lines.
do we had to predict something.
Oh,
there, right?
we predicted the green screen brawlers would win.
Yes, we did.
Sorry, I thought that was understood.
Wood Elves versus Pro Elves. We predicted that the Wood Elves would win this, and or this is Wood Elves versus High Elves. Sorry, we predicted the Wood Elves would win this, and they did. And I even said it's going to be on the back of Putt Putt, and Putt Putt gets MVP. So there you go.
Putt Putt got 14 SPP that game.
Called it. I'm like 2 weeks ago. I was like, the Wood Elves are going to win this, and it's going to be because of Putt Putt, and then Putt Putt gets 14 SPP. So there you go.
Putt Putt has picked up Sure Feet, predictably, to complement his ridiculous skill set.
Wood Elves taking more blocks than the High Elves, which is sort of what you expect in that sort of situation. But the Wood Elves are going to be more elfy than the High Elves, and the High Elves didn't really have the tools to deal with a ridiculous Wood Elf game. Safe throw triggered, which is kind of funny. You don't see that often.
In the Elf mirror, you do, I guess.
I suppose. Yeah, because the catchers are pretty likely to roll that intercept, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people are. So yeah, this is what's expected. There was no tackle on First and Forsaken lines, and I believe they had no sure hands either. And in the elf, in the elf off, the elfier elf usually wins unless the other one can beat the.
Yeah, unless they have, and the if you have that's why one Mighty Blow is super handy on basically any elf team for when you run into the elf mirror where their team is elfier than yours. You just beat them to death instead. And the First and Forsaken Lions didn't have that access, so they were just going to get out elfed all day. And then 3 Cash 3 Crew Revengeing had already been played, so we didn't predict a score here. But the humans did beat Common Nightmares and Harry Koo 3-2, which is another match that is kind of a big deal because Harry Koo and 3 Cash 3 Crew are both sort of top mid sort of contenders, potentially the second playoff spot contenders if they continue to win and not Nihilak loses. So a win is big there, and a loss is big there for Common Nightmares.
A lot of blocks sustained by these humans, 53 compared to doing 26 and getting 0 removals on 26 blocks for the humans.
But managing to win anyway.
Natural strength access. That's pretty impressive. JJ Cash had godly dodge dice. Pretty fucking solid armor dice.
He also has. Remember, he has a ludicrous amount of plus agi, so a lot of those are probably 2+ dodges.
Yes, but I suspect 21 of them aren't.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Really, really good injury. Yeah, it looks like JJ Cash had some really clutch dice when he needed it. Not to say this was a dicing, just that he had some really solid D6s, certainly.
The variance went his way when needed, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that really mattered, I imagine. There was a lightning bolt for the humans. It looks like it worked.
Never works for me.
Yeah, you are... I mean, I don't agree. I didn't think that was a good time to bolt, but it is unfortunate that it did not work.
Yeah, waiting. I was just afraid that waiting another turn would have made it hard.
It wasn't an awful decision. I just think I would have held it because he was so far from the end zone. It just seemed unlikely he was going to score, and unlikely that you were going to score. I'd rather stall than try to steal it as an Urkel.
I wasn't super confident that I could have absolutely prevented a score, and if I had knocked him down there, I was very confident that I could have absolutely prevented a score, which is why I went for it. But it didn't work because it never works. 6 of 7 lightning bolts. I've rolled 1s.
All right, so should we look at week 9?
Yep.
So for the record, we actually predicted quite well this round. You gained 2 points and I gained.
It's better than normal.
I think that's our best single div result ever.
So we didn't have predictions for these, so we can't really say anything about that because we didn't do them. Even though I was sick, I probably should have just looked and written down a prediction or something, but I didn't think of it, so that's my bad. Maybe next. This is the first time we've missed a week ever, so it was not a thing that I thought about. I also could have done it alone, maybe, but I felt so bad.
No, dude, that would have been
anyway.
painful.
Boss Hog Outlaws and with a REBBL Yell, so we have Undead and Chorfs.
Yep, both getting good MVPs, one leveling a Hobgoblin and one leveling a Ghoul to get Rackle, probably. It looks like the Lost Hogs could not find the removals they needed. This is Vulpus's team, right? Yeah. So Vulpus could not stand up to the Undead's punching, and in fact took more removals than they gave out.
Which is unexpected, although I suppose Hobgoblins are a pretty squishy target if you can get a hold of them.
Yeah, it looks like the Undead also fouled 2 things into Kaz, so maybe
yeah, that'll help.
Game for Vulpus, unfortunately. Yeah.
And then Professor Chaos takes down another win to solidify that top of the table position with a 2-0 win over another Bloody Bell.
Wherein he continues to just pitch clear people, getting 10 removals.
Yep, 7 casualties sustained for the Skaven. 11. Good lord.
Skaven getting obliterated. Or
my power just went out. Sweet. Let's try this again, shall we? We had done week 9 for REL 6, and we had done the first match for week 10. We were talking about another Bloody Bell versus Greenskin Brawlers when the power went out in week 10. So this was a win for the Greenskin Brawlers, 2-0 over another Bloody Bell. MVP going to Sorek, which I imagine is probably fairly accurate considering he was going to murder Skaven all game. And he certainly did with 7 casualties and 4 KOs to another Bloody Bell sustained. Only one for the Orcs.
By minors coaches.
So I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about that. I think this is like the Orcs just sort of beat the Skaven. The Orcs sort of beat the Skaven.
Really, really good against AV7 teams. It turns out, like kill teams do pretty badly because they often don't have the supporting skills. But Orcs are just like, tackle mighty blow spamming teams and guard. Like it makes cage dives hard. They just beat the living hell out of you when they can make a couple of mighty blow hits per turn if you're not dodging out well enough.
It's hard for really straight kill teams to get a ton of killers, right? Because often they're going to have to go block, mighty blow, tackle, claw, piling on. Whereas Orcs kind of naturally have that. They start with block. Their first 2 skills are going to be, you have 4 blitzers, who start with block and are just going to get mighty blow, tackle. There you go, instant Skaven killers, right? 2 levels, 1 level even, and you can have 4 of them. So they're pretty good against at beating Skaven to death, and that natural sure hands on the thrower, and like you said, black Orcs with a lot of guard and stuff. They're pretty difficult for Skaven to deal with. Yeah,
and they're fast enough to keep up to some degree. It's not like Dwarves where you can just outrun them. They have a lot of movement, 6 players.
Starry fight and First and Forsaken Lions. Rumblebee won a
match
game.
We didn't predict. Rumblebee wins. So every time we look at Rumblebee, he loses a game. I guess. I think both players leveled.
What did we predict for the that we predicted the Orcs were going to win the other one, right?
We didn't predict anything this week.
Oh yes.
This is week 9.
You are correct.
So I'm saying we didn't look at this game before it happened.
Right, you're very, that's true.
His jump up blitzer finally has piling on, so that makes that
not
little less awkward. Yeah. And the Blodge stripper got tackle.
Finally. You really needed that.
Yeah, he did, yeah, for sure.
Let's see.
So yeah, it looks like Rumblebee just actually managed to cause some damage. 47 blocks, 10 removals.
Yeah, 75%
11.
ball possession. This is just the Dwarves picking up the ball and bashing their way up the pitch and never letting the High Elves do anything. Probably not a very fun game for the High Elves, honestly, but that's kind of how Dwarves are going to beat High Elves.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, then we have Snake Kitties versus 3 crew revengeing.
3-0.
Lizards are kind of a natural human counter. They have, enough armor to stand up to them. They've got too many strength 4 players for the humans to really do much with their, exclusively strength 3 outside of the Ogre. The Croxagore makes Agi 3 dodges impossible, or way less reliable at least. So really, really bad matchup for humans in general, and it shows in this 3-0 result.
Yeah, it turns out lizards are the kind of match that humans want to pretend to be elves against, but they're just not as good as elves. They're not fast enough to outrun the Saurus, really. Skinks can keep up. And they're not really agi enough to dodge through, walls of lizard flesh. So it's a really tough matchup.
And Slibbly is just gross against humans. At movement 7, he's as fast as some of their fastest players. He's, guard, stand firm, block. He's just a monster.
I think the 51 blocks versus 25 blocks basically just tells the story of the game. Lizard's pretty much mostly in control. allowing that to be good 3-0 for them, really.
Yeah, not even with that many removals, just like very similar removals, though it's likely that the removals the Lizards sustained were probably... Oh no, there was a Saurus removed. I see one here. Unless that Niggle is old. Anyway, yeah, tough match for humans.
Wayside Warmongers and Common Nightmares, speaking of humans, we had an Ogre MVP, but we're playing against Common Nightmares, who've been doing really well. We didn't talk too much about them early in the season, because I think their first few games were kind of bad, but they have fired their way back up the table recently, and are contending for a playoff spot. I think they're currently in a playoff spot, actually. So well done to Common Nightmares, crawling back from the first couple bad opening weeks, getting a lot of wins since then. Yeah, very much in control of the Necro.
Oh, Jesus, they beat the living hell out of each other. 10 removals to 8.
What's impressive to me is that that's 10 removal or 8 removals off 34 blocks. The humans barely did anything in terms of blocks, but managed to keep up with the injury dice. But yeah, the Common Nightmares, I think, had this game sort of in control. More blocks, more ball possession.
Chased Through the Night, who I assume is a werewolf, got 14 SPP.
Wow.
And was not the MVP. So, I think he beat people up and scored a bunch.
That would make sense.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, and then we have Scaled Measures versus Wood United. This is normally a matchup that's pretty tough for Lizards. They don't have the reliability in ball carrying to really stand up to Wood Elves usually, but if you've got a bunch of agi up skinks, you just score a bunch, I guess, and that's looks like
skinks are pretty weak to cage diving. You know, Saurus will eventually get guard, but they don't generally have a lot of free guard until they're really high level, and it's hard to level Saurus. And if you don't have that guard, it's a very easy to die against non-sure hands players for a cage dive. So it's you know, pretty hard for Lizards to hold on to the ball against Wood Elves, but you can just score a bunch, like you said. It doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, it's hard to stop Agi 4 skinks. I think they say this is the team with an Agi 5 skink even from scoring. Tough game for Wood United. Didn't quite pull out a win, but they didn't take too much damage, I don't think.
4 casualties, but
4, yeah. Could be bad, could be nothing. So yeah.
Couple levels from the MVPs. Ooh. You'll see that one.
Yeah, one was on a diving tackle skink. It's not that exciting.
The Wood Elf MVP is resulted in a guard lineman.
Nice. Always valuable. And then Hausdorff Homewreckers taking out a 2-0 win versus some Orcs.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Orcs are not great against
Law.
Chorfs. Chorfs just kind of claw you.
Yeah, when you tend to be outguarded, and Chorfs are so hard for Orcs. Orcs
well, it depends, right? Like Orcs can do well if they don't immediately implode because they have the strength advantage, and often the guard advantage, or at least like equally guard, and they can keep up with the fastest players. And if they can get some hobgoblins out, they can easily get a numbers advantage. But if they lose a black orc or a blitzer in the first couple of turns and then like start snowballing that way, then
Hausdorff's Homewreckers is a pretty terrifying Chorf team, though.
Yeah, lots of claw money blow.
Against like Chorfs, I think, are one of the harder matchups for Orcs, really. It's just against straight up guard teams like, you know, Lizards or like Dwarves or whatever. Often you'll have the strength and guard to compete against it because Black Orcs and stuff. Like Dwarves, you have more strength than they do. Great. Against kill teams like sort of Nurgle or Chaos, you'll have more guard than they do. So you can, despite them having 1 or 2 Claw Mighty Blow players, you can kind of push your way through and make the blocks hard, that kind of thing. But Chorfs are going to have both Claw and a shitload of guard. So you can't really utilize one over the other. Like both your armor and your guard sort of advantages are generally gone, which makes Chorfs pretty hard to deal with for the Orcs.
Yep, a lot of their value is in there. It's armor 9 across the board outside of the thrower. So.
Yeah, and most other claw teams, you can at least try to make those blocks hard because there's only going to be 1 or 2 claw players and they don't have a ton of guard generally. But Chorfs generally have both, which is rough.
Yep, exactly. And that's week 9. So let's look at the leaderboard. It's going to be kind of weird because the half of the games in week 10 have been played, so we're going to need to take that into account.
Yep. Common Nightmares, Orcsploitation Cinema, Boss Hog Outlaws, Snake Kitty, Starry Fight, and another Bloody Bell have already played. So the thing to note is that Professor Chaos hasn't played yet, and he is still up there in number 1 by 3 points ahead. 3 points ahead and a game in hand. So with 2 weeks left, he is probably going to be one of your playoff contention spots. Harry Koo and Common Nightmares have played this week.
You would have to literally lose every game from here on out, and Scaled Measures would have to win every game to push him out, I think.
So this Necro team is currently in second, but Scaled Measures is only 2 points behind them, and they haven't played yet this week. So a win for Scaled Measures can pop them up ahead of Harry Koo. But it looks like we've probably got 3 teams in playoff contention at this point between these top 3. Randomus Namus has a shot, but it's a pretty outside one because you're going to need a lot of the people ahead of you to lose. He has not played this week, but he's also 4 points behind second. So even a win will not put you in spots there. So you need your opponents to lose. But I think those are the 3 teams to look out for from this division now: Orc, Necro, and Lizards. I think 2 of those 3 are probably the ones that are going to end up in the playoffs.
Yep, that makes sense. Though I think next week we are going to be looking at the Hailstorm Homewreckers versus JJ Cash game, because we haven't looked at either of those teams, I think, and they're both like potentially fighting for the second place spot. Like Ben said, they're kind of in the place now where they need the Necro or the Lizards to start losing, but it's the most playoff contention-y game happening next week, so we're gonna watch that along with a similar game in the game in REL 7 is first place versus second place. So I guess we're gonna spoil it if we show it on the screen. But do we not want to? That's gonna be tough. We're just gonna have to spoil it. We're gonna watch.
I mean, people are gonna almost
everyone in the div has definitely already seen the result. So
yeah, there's no people pay attention to Discord. People pay attention to REBBL.net. There's no way people haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
And if people haven't seen it, we will just not spoil it the day we watch it. So teams and then predictions. I guess?
Rex Longbone. That's because the sun is up, which is never a thing when we're doing our recaps, because I live in Canada. So, 6-7 p.m. the sun's been down for 2 hours. At this
time of year.
The sun goes down around like 4:30.
I need to get big lights. I want to get like big lights up here to illuminate me better, because right now I'm relying on like a random. That's why it's kind of shiny.
You just cut out. I don't know if your mic is working.
Hello?
Yeah, I can still see you talking. So Discord is not working for your mic anymore.
Hello, sweet. It's just Discord. All I have to do is disconnect and reconnect. It's very dumb.
Yeah, it does that to me too sometimes.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of shiny, because I'm having natural light from a window and then a ceiling light. I want to get real light up here, and that way you can sort of utilize. If I got a green screen, or if I try to use the like weird like fake green screen technology my cam has, it might actually work if I have good light.
Yeah, the problem I have is that, like, as I will show... Oh, no, my webcam is very taut right now. I'm sitting in the corner of a room with, like, a window to my right and the light above me. So if I want to be properly lit, I'd have to put lights, like, in behind my computer, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's exactly this. Yeah, you can hear me on stream because my mic is going directly to the stream, but it's not Shadorra won't be able to hear me, which kind of makes the banter aspect of this a little bad. It's the same. I need to put lights behind my computer too, but I don't have lights yet, and I don't do this enough to justify spending the like couple $100 on like good professional quality lights that you need, like the really fucking bright ones.
Yep. All right, let's get into predictions. Or no, I guess we'll look at the teams, because we're gonna do a full thing, not like super detailed, but we're at least gonna go through and see what happened. Jesus Christ, Phil, your team. So Philosophical was playing the Common Nightmares, the Necro, and lost 4-1, and you can kind of see that in his team, and now he's got to play the number 1 Orcs, so this is going to be a brutal game.
His Block Ogre is almost leveled.
His Wilbert Wonder, his best blitzer, is MNG'd. His Block Ogre is almost leveled if he survives, though it's against Orcs, he's probably going to survive. So both of these are at least just MNGs, though, through Tossley is still...
Look at those fucking stats.
Yep.
Movement, agi, strength, dodge, strength. He's about to be legend, and he doesn't have block yet.
He's 100 SPP.
Okay, his next level is legend, and he doesn't have block, because he's only gotten stats and dodge.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked. So yeah, this is a team that's gotten the shit kicked out of it. It's got 2 blitzers for the next game and 1 catcher. Admittedly, the catcher is it's not looking good, Phil. It's like got some really good players, but it's so tall right now because you've sustained so much damage. It's exactly what happened to my lizards. They just started falling apart.
And you're missing some of those good players for the next game. So this is going to be Wonder Jr. through Tossley and Derek Dashing playing against a team of Orcs.
Yep. Scaled Measures team, on the other hand, looking real nice despite all the stat busts. We've got a strength busted one-turn skink, natural one-turning skink. So, you know, that's a thing. Or no, it's not quite a natural. It needs one push, but it's got...
yeah, speaking of stats.
That's not hard to get. Rookie Croxagore, because his old Block Pro niggled one died, and it was the niggle that done it. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago now, but I'm still like, I'm not pleased the player died, of course, but like, when you talk about big guys and how like bad it is to have a niggled big guy, like
I have a niggled big guy.
You feel a little vindication when a niggled big guy dies from the niggle, because it like is a huge reduction in reliability. So
I have a niggled big guy.
Yep. Unfortunately, Handground has picked up an AV bust, which I think is new. He is strength up. Oh man, AV busts on lizards is such a painful fucking thing.
Yep.
Like it doesn't matter as much on the Blitzer, the Dromaeosauridae, because he's gonna be like, it does matter because he's gonna be on the ground getting fouled because he's piling on for some reason. But like your Blitzer is generally not gonna be based super often, so it's not that big of a deal. But against someone like a strength 5 player that is likely to pick up block and guard and be the kind of like pillar that he needs to be, it's a little tough.
Man, like I don't know. You have 2 other strength. Like normally, I would never advocate for getting rid of a strength 5 Saurus, but you have 2 other ones. Like three is almost irrelevant. I would probably consider getting rid of him and just getting a new one, because like the only skill.
I mean, it's not irrelevant, but like at this point, I think you can afford to recycle it. But he's also only 5 SPP away from block.
Yeah, but a rookie one is 6 SPP away from block and has armor 9.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's normally the strength would be incredible, but when you already have 2 other ones, it's like it's not as big a loss, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So maybe think about it. I don't necessarily think you absolutely should. I don't think it's wrong to keep him, but it's something I'd be thinking about it a lot harder than just saying no, never fire him, like I would be if it was your only strength 5 Saurus.
Yep. And then Bottoms McTavish has picked up Sure Hands. I don't hate the Sure Hands as a double. After you have a block skink, I did the exact same thing. It's just nice to have versus strip ball teams sometimes.
Yeah, it makes the Wood Elf matchup so much easier.
The gained reliability without block is still like, I mean, they're still going to take like a block tackle piece is still going to take off the ball. They'll take the ball from you like a lot of the time, but at least it makes it a bit better in the case where you've got a good guard cage set up so that they can't get a 2-die.
And it can often save you a reroll too. Like that's a thing that lizards generally have to spend rerolls on, is picking up the ball.
Once you're at this stage, lizards don't give a shit about rerolls. Like, what are you gonna reroll other than dub skulls and like failed pickups? And he's got
failed pickups, and now you don't need to worry about that.
I mean, it's like it's a 2+. It's a 1 in 6 to a 1 in 9. It's not that big of an increase in reliability.
I mean, that
and you
is
can't
fairly
reroll
big.
the 1 in 9, so And you're gonna want to run the ball in with Frog Jefferson anyway, because he's, you know, faster and way more agile for like stunty. So you're probably gonna be carrying on Frog Jefferson most of the time. I think it's mostly to like counter script, and I think it's okay.
And you can give him catch.
Yep. Great looking lizard team. It's got a strength 5 break tackle guard piece. It's got a bunch of good guard pieces in the normal not strength up guys, Ankylosaurus Andy. So like the blocking line for this lizard team is impossible to deal with for most teams. Like just so many strength up lizards.
It's like Kemri, but better.
Just way better.
It's like Kemri having 4 strength 5 players, 3 of them that don't have, you know, nega traits.
And with general access.
Yeah. So House Dwarfs Homeworkers and the Chaos Dwarfs, they're a bit beaten up from that last game. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think they're missing a blocker. I think he died, and we've got an MNG'd one. So that's, you know, 200k or so that they're missing. So really, this should be higher.
It's movement busted.
Well, he's missing.
I would fire this piece. Yeah, I would fire this piece. I think. Maybe not. Does he have the money to replace him? Doesn't have the money to replace both because they're 70k each. That's tough.
I would probably make him line fodder until you can afford. I would buy a new one first, and then I would make that guy line fodder until you can afford another one.
Yeah, but Chorfs, it's the same thing with lizards, man. People say that shit like just make it line fodder. Line fodder only works when it's like a shitty lineman you don't need. You can't afford to go down a Chorf blocker, right? Losing a Chorf blocker is 1/6 of your like good line positionals. Like you can't have a like disposable key player because then you lose the game that you let him die in.
They're
right?
armor 9 thick skull. You put Chorfs on the line against literally every team but
Never put
Claw.
Chorfs on the line. Don't put Chorfs on the line against any developed team. It's a bad idea. You're gonna get fouled.
Yeah, but
you put hobos are for the line. Man.
Yeah, but then you lose hobgoblins instantly.
Yeah, that's fine. They're there to die.
Then you go down
40k.
I would rather go down, have a small chance of going down one player than a large chance of going down 3 players.
Black Orcs on the line. It's the exact same rationale, right? Like, I mean, it's easier on Orcs because Orcs are more durable. But if I was facing any Mighty Blow spam team or like Claw team or any team with like a lot of dirty player, I would not be putting my Chorf blocker.
I put that one on the line so you can afford a new one.
I'm shaking my head at you.
Anyway, you can see why they do good against Orcs though, with 5 guard and 2 Claw Mighty Blow piling on players.
Yeah. What do you get on Penrose? Pro?
Jump up.
It's a double.
Stand firm.
Yeah, stand firm's not bad.
Same thing you do, like unless you get.
I might go pro.
If you get doubles.
Oh no, I'd probably go Juggernaut. Having a nice Juggernaut player for like blitzing stand firm players is really nice. I think Jugs is what I would get on Pen.
I don't know. He's too slow. Like when
yeah, but you do have to do those blitzes sometimes, right?
Yeah, but I'd rather do that with like a Bull Centaur. Like I'd rather give Juggernaut to like Feigenbaum.
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes you need to blitz those stand firm players, but you're not going to be able to cover the entire pitch with a movement 4 Chorf blocker. So like
but that's not what it's for. It's for when you want to blitz the corners of a rule of 5 setup for players that have set up like it basically disincentivizes people putting stand firm players there because otherwise like it would be risky to have your Chorf blocker run all the way out there for a claw hit. But
okay, rule of 5 setup. I set up 5 squares away from the line.
Yeah, and then your players are so far back, and your LOS is so isolated.
5 on any standard movement team, that's fine. Or even just 4, or even just 4 squares back, because then he can't protect himself, and he blitzes. You just foul the bejesus out of him. Like it's not.
Sure. But it still forces your opponent to do a thing, and that there's value in that.
I think stand firm is better.
He's got enough stand firm. I don't agree. He's got an exactly identical player. He needs to do either like something different with him, or else like what's the?
No,
you have 2 identical players.
They're movement 4. Like you have 1 on each side of your LOS or whatever. Now you have a Claw Mighty Blow, stand firm, piling on dude. No matter where your opponent goes, I think it's valuable when they're so fucking slow. I don't like Juggernaut on him. You're not going to be able to use it very often, I don't think, in ways that are relevant. Anyway, I think Pro is a good choice though. I like Pro. And again, I also don't play Chorfs, so maybe don't take everything that I say as gospel, but I don't think you get enough use out of it.
I don't play Chorfs, but I'm confident in all of my assertions. I have played Chorfs, I guess. Orcsploitation Cinema, Das Schuttenheim. It's a good-looking orc team. It's not doing great this season, but it is a good-looking orc team, and it's held together through all the claw and nasty players and nasty teams. It's 2,000 TV. Got an Agi 5 thrower. It's got 4 black orcs, all of whom have at least block, and most have guard. 1 is block diving tackle, which is nice to have on a black orc.
Oh man,
it's a great team.
Leorc Neeson is niggled, but he's also strength 5, so I mean he's probably fine.
Yeah, he's probably fine.
But man, that's gonna be a sad day when he dies because I love that player so much. Strength 5, break tackle, strip ball tackle. Screw you in your cage. Oh, it's so good, but like one day he's gonna fail that dodge, or he's gonna get fouled while niggled, or he's gonna just get murdered, and I'll be sad when that day comes. I don't know why. You see it a lot on like Nurgle Warriors sometimes too, but like super slow pieces with diving tackle, I don't really understand.
So the deal is that it's nice to have. So there's like there's two schools of thought on that, right? So like when you have a shitty player that has diving tackle, like a skink or any other strength 3 piece, it's there to draw the blitz, right? If it doesn't have sidestep, it's basically saying you have to blitz this player. When it's on a strength 4 piece, it's a little different, right? It's like you're now basically saying you would have to invest a ton of resources to get this diving tackle off, and like a lot of times they're just going to leave it there because it's not worth it. So the strength 4 piece is nice for jamming in somewhere, like it's like more limiting because he's only movement 4. But I think it makes sense for the kind of like challenge it raises to your opponent. It's tougher to deal with, tougher to use. Like,
yeah, I mean, I like it way better on natural agi access players because diving tackle sidestep is incredible. But I guess
diving tackle stand firm is great too.
Yeah, the like I guess the argument is there aren't very many other agi skills that they care about. I mean, dodge maybe just so he's hard to knock over. But like
there's like black orcs and longbeards, diving tackle and dodge. I think diving tackle is better on longbeards, and I think diving tackle and dodge
think it's fine
are
on
about
longbeards.
equal on black.
I don't know when their movement. I understand the rationale. Like it makes it more. It's the only way to deal with really high agi players. Like their strength 4s, they're difficult to like remove if you get it on there. But your black orcs are like so much of the time going to be involved in fighting because they're also your guard block strength 4 pieces. And if the like agi piece runs away, great. Well, now I'm movement 4 and I'm never going to be able to actually use that diving tackle. Like it's so hard to actually get into a useful position. And then if you put him on the floor, he's now on the floor and he's your strength.
Yeah, but if he's on the floor, ideally he caused a turnover in the process, right? So
I just I don't know. I feel like it's a double worth of TV that is going to get used like maybe once every 5 games, which seems like inefficient to me.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, but a 2000 TV orc team probably doesn't care about efficiency anymore.
I suppose that's true. I guess that makes more sense. If that was like the last black orc to level, I think that's fine. If that's like your second black orc that got a level and got doubles.
Oh yeah, I would never get it early. It's the sort of thing like double 5s, right? It's like you skip it almost all of the time on like non like speedy positionals because it's just not worth it unless your team is super developed and you can afford to be greedy because like relatively speaking, the bloat is like negligible.
I saw a good take on this on Reddit the other day in that like plus movement is only really worth it if it increases the maximum movement of your team, right? If you get plus movement on like one of your slow guys, it's probably not worth it. But like plus movement on a blitzer would be great here. Like plus movement on like a Pestigore is good, but like plus movement on your Nurgle warrior is probably not worth it, right? Like if it increases the maximum movement of your team, it's good.
And the value of plus movement increases as your maximum movement value increases. Like plus movement on a Pestigore is aggressively mediocre until your team is pretty developed because it's just like it doesn't provide very much value and you need a lot of value, right? So like a lot of the times it's like plus movement is like amazing on like rats and what else because they're the teams that are best positioned to abuse movement and they also have like decent starting skills.
Like it's like plus movement on you if it increases your team's max movement. I think it's good, right? Like getting
I don't think it like 100% of the time you should take it if it does.
No, but like plus movement on a dwarf blitzer or a dwarf runner, great. Plus movement on a dwarf longbeard, skip it 100% of the time. Plus movement on a Bretonnian blitzer, take it. Plus movement on a blocker, plus movement on a peasant, fucking ignore that, right? Like I think that's kind of the rationale that I like about movement. Anyway, Wood United, we're going to take forever if we keep doing this.
The exception, we're already going to take forever, I'm just committed. The exception is this tree. This is a great example. When taking a movement on a player with less than 2 movement is great.
That's true. But like, doesn't have to roll to stand up anymore. Yeah,
it's an edge case, certainly. Robin Hood is out. Is he niggled? He is not. He is just MNG'd. And the other word answer has eaten a movement bust and therefore should be fired immediately. Woody Woodpecker has played 1 game and is dead.
Yep. Well, if you can't replace him, but you're playing your next game without him anyway. Yeah, I think what you do is pray that you roll 60k in your next game, and if you don't, you use him, but he's the next thing you replace. Turns out rookie word answers are incredible still, so like just getting a new one is probably fine, but if you can't afford it yet, SPP. I'd rather have 2.
Why would you ever level one with 1 SPP?
I wouldn't level one, but I'd rather play a game with 2 word answers than 1 word answer if you can't afford one.
Yeah, only if it was a game you needed to win, honestly. Like, I would be worried that he was going to soak up SPP. Like, word answers are just SPP magnets. And, like, yeah, I don't know. if I didn't need to win it, I would rather get like 2 SPP on like a lineman than the like 5 SPP I might get on a like movement busted war down.
What else is anything new here? I don't think so. The plus movement on the lineman might be new.
Plus, no, it's not, because I think I remember. I mean, maybe it's new. I still hate it.
I don't. It's guard.
This is like, yeah, but it doesn't need plus movement. Like, if you wanted to be like pixel huggy about it, I mean, no, it needed dodge. Like, there's no argument that I will accept that dodge is not like 100% the better pick on Wick. But
the argument is that you're playing very greedy, and if he happens to survive, he'll be even better than he would be if he just took dodge. But that's not the win this game.
150k lineman, like
they're elves. They're going to be 150k linemen. They start.
Already got a movement 9 guard piece with sprint sure feet. He's got a movement 12, a movement 12.
You know what's better than 1 guard? 3.
Yeah, he had already had guard. He took guard. He didn't need movement. A blodge guard piece is gross. It's movement 7. That's already more than enough. And you said picking movement on your slowest players. Well, slowest outside of the. Arguing yourself into court.
I mean, I'm not saying that I would have taken movement. Honestly, I probably would have taken guard or dodge, but I don't hate it. But I don't think it's what I would have done.
I hate it.
Yeah, sure feet I think is new on Putt Putt, which is gross because he's now movement 9 sprint sure feet. Get another plus movement.
Yeah,
because you really need that.
Like, what else do you need? I was like, oh wait, it's getting dark. Is it late? And I'm like, wait, no, it's 1 p.m. What's going on? And then I realized it's a snowstorm.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Treeman has got some good levels too. Yeah, Ward Answer, he needs to probably go away eventually. And Robin Wood is a great Ward Answer with Tackle and Strip Ball and Sidestep. But unfortunately, you won't have any Ward Answers for your next game, which is a big relief to whoever you play next.
Nope. And next up is Harry Koo, who keeps winning games despite having the least exciting looking team in the division.
Yeah, it turns out sometimes standard is good.
I mean, it's not standard though, right? Like it's gotten 7 level ups on werewolves and hasn't gotten a single mighty blow yet.
That is below average.
Yeah, like you would expect one of these werewolves to have mighty blow. I would also recycle being attacked. I wouldn't do it now because you're trying to keep playoff contention going and you're probably carrying on one of these werewolves. But man, it sucks.
Herringzord on Saturday Night REBBL casted his last game, and like the sidestep werewolf like won him the game. So it's hard to argue against that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's good. The issue is like you want to fish for more doubles, right? Like the doubles are so important that.
Oh, I mean, I would level them like both another time probably.
Yeah, certainly like an order of magnitude below the REL average of stats in Mighty Blow.
You enter REL as a Necro team and you get a free Mighty Blow block werewolf. It's just how it works.
Oh, and strength up.
Naked in Public is really good. Standard sort of ball carrier ghoul. We only have one though. But that's not terrible for Necro teams because the werewolves are often going to be blitzing. On like Undead, you'll see like a wrestle tackled ghoul a lot of the time.
Yeah, I would like to see him pick up a second one for wrestle. He's got the money for it as well. And his team is already bloaty enough anyway that the difference between a zombie and a ghoul isn't that big of a deal. And he could even fire a zombie and still have a full LOS of zombies. That aren't leveled.
It's not as critical as it is on Undead because you sort of have fake wrestle, as it were, with Frenzy, like getting 2 shots of it at it with the werewolves. But I think a ghoul is probably one of the other things the next thing you'd want to focus on.
Yeah. Other than that, though, the team, other than the disappointing werewolves, the team is quite nice. It's got exactly what I want to see in whites and 2 support pieces. One has dodge, blodge. Mighty Blow guard is a great setup for these kind of pieces, and then another blodge flesh golem doesn't have guard yet and is movement busted, but with stand firm, as we've said a billion times, that's less.
Yep. And a guard zombie, dirty player zombie, get a kick zombie, and this team is done.
Yeah, you don't even you do really want kick, I think, on Necro because they have the speed to take advantage of it, in the werewolves and the ghouls rather.
Yeah,
I agree with his priority here. Certainly, like a dirty player zombie and a guard zombie are totally fine.
Yeah, I would take them before kick, but you want kick eventually. Whereas on like Wood Elves or something, you take kick as like your first lineman level. 3 cash, 3 crew revengeing.
1920 humans. We're going to be watching this team play this week. Well, next week, I should. In 4 days? Yeah, in 4 days.
Glover is getting pretty close to legend.
He is, yeah. That's going to be exciting. Agi 4. So this is the, like, it draws the blitz and it needs to draw a tackle blitz. And even then, if you're not 3-dying him, it's only a 55% to knock him down problem for, like, diving tackle pieces. Like, sidestep. I mean, I had a blodge step diving tackle skink, and he's, like, cost opponents, like, 2 or 3 turns sometimes, because if you just, like, can't roll a POW and you don't have a tackle piece available, like, if you can reliably tie up their tackle and just stick that on the ball, like, what are they going to do? Like, they spend so long fishing for a POW.
And good luck trying to dodge away from diving tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, diving tackle on, like, general access players can get really gross. Yeah, that's a hell of a piece. I'm surprised it's not dead, to be honest. That's the sort of piece you foul the second it hits the ground, and it's going to hit the ground sometimes because it's
because people are probably
and B diving tackle.
I was going to say because people are probably trying to foul Scooter, the Agi 5 leap blodge strip ball blitzer.
Yeah, all right, fair. There's a lot of foul-worthy targets on this stupid team. I don't think I would have taken the Agi up lineman. I guess it depends on when it happened. I guess it's a receiver for Scooter.
Yeah.
But you have a receiver in Glover, and even Payday is more reliable if you're not willing to commit the reroll. Though I suppose on a catch you probably are.
Then a lot of weird
unfortunate
blitzers,
movement
but I like
bust on this Benny Blitzer guy. That's a really good piece. So many Agi ups. What the fuck?
He gets to play fake elves when it matters, which is kind of useful, but it's also a lot of TV and Agi.
I mean, yeah, but like humans can't afford to care, right? Like if they didn't have this, they'd just be a kind of like mediocre Agi 3 team, and they would get the shit kicked out of them by every pitch.
At this TV, yeah. And then there's some weird blitzers, but like Donovan is really good in the diving tackle stand firm, as was mentioned. Also Blodge, and then Scooter is like a fake war dancer, but super good.
Agi up war dancer with a movement bust
and sure hands, yeah. For 250k. First and Forsaken Lions.
I mean, on humans, I'd take it. I don't think you'd take it on a wood else. I know you would take an Agi up. No, never mind. I'm lying. Yeah, First and Forsaken Lions. Back up at 1850 TV, so they have managed to rebuild after getting utterly annihilated mid-season. So good for them.
Yeah, their first like 4 or 5 games were absolutely terrible matchups for early wood or high elves. And high elves are the Nurgle of elves. They need a ton of levels to do well, and we're getting there. Strength guard lineman. We get an Agi blitzer, which is kind of cool for the strip ball nonsense. We get a sidestep blodge catcher, which I certainly really like. Wrestle guard is kind of annoying, but you can't control when you roll doubles, and you take guard when you can get it on an elf team.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, I like it,
and like it means that sometimes your wrestle piece is going to get fouled, but usually it means like he's at least inconveniencing the opponent. Like block is obviously better in that case because he's still inconveniencing the opponent and he's not on the floor.
Yeah, but, and you just don't pass up doubles on like guard doubles on an elf team. And 4 wins is certainly getting there. We've got Agi, we got dodge, we've got strong arm, and we've got kickoff return to make up a little bit for that movement 6. Anything else crazy?
He's a slow boy. He kind of needs accurate if he's going to be doing the passing plays. But I mean, I guess at Agi 5,
Agi is basically
strong
accurate.
Arm, yeah, Agi 5 strong arm. You're already looking at 2+ passes for most things.
And then Ravenous Dawn has finally picked up tackle, so we finally have some tackle on this team, which is something we've been harping on for weeks. So there you go, good. And our first place orc team, Professor Chaos. It is, about as standard as an orc team can get, other than the plus strength blitzer, but it turns out standard orcs are good, so.
Yep.
Look at those black orcs. I love them. Block guard, block guard. Done.
I mean, I hate the AV bust. He needs recycling, but not while you're in playoff contention.
No.
I think Juggernaut before Pro is probably better in this case, but he's got both now, so who cares? Lots of really good blitzers here. Blodge, stand firm, tackle. This one, what do you want on the strength 4 piece next?
Guard?
I guess just guard, yeah.
He's a faster black orc, but with also block tackle. At that point, I think it's I would take guard. If you could tell me I could have 5 block guard black orcs on an orc team, I would take that.
Yep. I think you look to recycle Morgrad if he levels up again. Again, not this season, but moving forward with the team.
Unless he gets agi or movement.
I think this team needs another line orc, and I think Mork needs to be recycled as soon as you level up Grotrak. I must say, your basic names make me sad.
But like you always want line orc fodder.
And Wrestle DP is just like, it's not where you want to be with a line fodder piece.
Yeah, I don't hate it. The thing is, though, I don't like the one thing I don't like is that you have to field the dirty player on defense, and I'm very much of an advocate of dirty player is an offensive thing, because you only have 3 line orcs, so they all have to go on the line, and the wrestle makes sense for putting them on the line. It's going to really screw up your opponent's plans if you like wrestle down their line blocks, and it also, you know, you're more likely to not have your armor broken and that kind of thing. But even on offense, it's not terrible because then you have a wrestle piece somewhere on the team. But the big thing is that you have to field them on the LOS, so you might not have that dirty player for offense. So I think getting go track dirty player and then buying another line orc is what I would do at this team.
And then fire Mork, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
You only need 1 DP on orcs. I like DP on defense when you're facing piling on teams, simply because it makes them think twice about it. But
yeah, I suppose I'm coming from the perspective of Undead and Nurgle player, where I don't really care if I have dirty player or not. I'm going to foul you because my zombies are 40k.
Yeah. So like orcs have to have a dedicated fouler. It's not that you can't afford to lose line orcs, but you don't really want to just give them away on a bad foul.
Boss Hog Outlaws. So this is a slightly less gross Chorf team, and
one that's had a bad couple of games. They lost a blocker, it looks like. They've got a MNG'd Bull Centaur that's pretty developed.
Only 1 block.
They lost a lot of things recently because I remember they were very guard, mighty blow, spam heavy.
Yeah, only 1 guard on blockers is really rough.
Yeah, Young Vaughn has played 5 matches, so he hasn't been around too long. And Mike Jones II has only been around for... Oh, he's been around for 16 and has collected 4 SPV.
Chorfs, man. Chorfs.
Yeah. You're always going to be hitting with the mighty blow ones first.
Yeah, and the Bull Centaurs look pretty good. And we are ball carrying on a Hobgoblin here, so based on that, I really like the Bull Centaurs. Break tackle dodge is so good for a blitzer, especially since he has guard. So you can put that, either you can blitz with him or you can put the guard wherever you want, and it's very reliable to get it there. 2+ dodges with a reroll. And then you have the block tackle one for when you need a mobile tackle piece. Good, just probably outclassed by a lot of the other teams in this division right now.
Yep.
I would, against another 1300 TV team, this would be very good, but when most of the teams in your division are 1900, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, exactly. And then with a REBBL Yell by Jaspersaurus Rex, has totally misordered players.
Yep.
Drive me insane.
I was going to say only 1 white, but nope, the white's at the bottom.
It is a rookie, though, so it looks like it has been recycled or dead. Yeah, it's been played 1 whole game. The other one is movement busted, but is still pretty decent at Mighty Blow, piling on guard. Problem with piling on and movement bust, of course, is that you've only got 2 movement when you're trying to get back into the action after you do use that, so it's a bit awkward.
Yeah, but...
And I think Bond Scott is also pretty new this mummy. Yeah, only 5 matches.
But Robert EP is a good mummy with block, grab, stand firm, guard.
He is this team, yeah. Him and Ziggy and Wayne are basically the 3 relevant players on this team.
Pretty much. And this is what you see with ghouls on Undead, right? You don't have werewolves, so you often see the more likely you see, not always the full complement of ghouls, because they can take 4, I think, but you'll very often see 3, at least. One always ends up being the like blodge, sure hands type guy. You get one that is wrestle tackle sort of blitzer, and then you kind of pray the other one gets doubles at some point, but catch is a good option. Sort of the standard block sidestep are good options. You'll normally see 3. And then we have, that mummy is incredible. A bunch of block zombies, which is kind of interesting, but I guess they can just be line fodder zombies and be slightly more annoying than normal zombies. Plus, they're very good at tying people up.
You're not as lean. Like, I've seen two schools of thought on the zombie levels for Undead. Some people are like fire them as soon as they're leveled. You just want rookies. Like, yeah, they're more reliable and more annoying, but you're increasing their value by 50% by holding onto them. So, like, you can keep an utterly filthy Undead team at like 1400 TV and just like crush people out with inducements and stuff. But
yeah, it depends on how you use them. Like, a lot of the times in my cases, I end up with like, here you go, Mr. Tomb Guardian, have a zombie to play with, and then I have to block your zombie every turn. And like, as long as I get 3 or 4 turns out of that zombie, like, he's more than making up his value. He's 40k. I don't care if he dies. And block just makes that so much better, especially if you're throwing them against big guys. But it also, like you said, 50% value. I don't know. I think I would do it, but they would very often end up just being line fodder. And if they die, they die, and who cares, right? Is probably. And if they ever level again, they're out. Get a new zombie.
Yeah, exactly. And then another Bloody Bell, the Skaven team that is having a rough season compared to the one that's having a great season.
Yep.
1 Storm Vermin dead, 1 Storm Vermin MNG'd. Not niggled, no, just MNG'd. That's brutal. So no blitzers for next game.
Nope.
Wrestle or block, sidestep, strip ball, leap is an odd combination of skills, but he does have that to get the ball, and he has a wrestle strip as well. No doubles on any of these. They have not picked up any mutations. That's a bit unfortunate. And then we have a dirty player and a kick, and that's it. This is a devastated team, unfortunately.
You do have the 2 options for the strip ball, sort of, right? You've got the wrestle strip in case the ball carriers block, and you have the block strip if they don't have block. But yeah, I think in most cases you prefer to have wrestle strip for both of them.
Yeah.
But I think this is, since his first 2 levels were block and sidestep, I imagine he wasn't meant to be a sacker, and then one of them died, and he had to make a new one.
Yeah, he also doesn't have tackle yet, so I think at some point something here should have gotten tackle. But that's okay.
Rumblebee?
Bit of a rough season, certainly. Yeah, Rumblebee. Not much to say about the devastated rat team. Rumblebee, on the other hand, is not devastated.
Yeah, we got Blitzer Troll Slayers, one sort of set up for surfing with Stand Firm, one set up to be more of like the Blitzer with tackle. Both taking Mighty Blow first, obviously.
You normally see tackle on the Blitzers and piling on the Troll Slayers. I don't hate this change because obviously a Troll Slayer hitting now is incredibly likely to get the ball off with tackle and frenzy. And the piling on the non-frenzy blitzer makes it a lot easier to kind of do greed piling ons like early on your offensive drive, where you can like protect the player, but you wouldn't be able to protect them if they had frenzy.
Yeah, and you're not forced to follow up, so you don't have to use that follow up piling on if you don't want to.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a bit interesting. I like the guard, stand firm, blitzers, of course.
Man, that is such a good dwarf runner.
Yes, the strength up plus movement guy is a beast.
That is an incredible dwarf runner. Like, some people would be like, he doesn't have agi or dodge, but like dwarves are just gonna grind their way up the field for most of it.
Most of the time they don't care, and the strength 4 makes him so much harder to deal with, and movement 7 is just such a godsend.
Yeah, he can blitz his way through rather than dodge for the most part without a whole lot of assists. Movement 7 and kickoff return makes the dwarf like the sort of elf plan of kick it real deep and like make the bash team waste 3 turns getting the ball and come back plan garbage, because he's gonna get free movement to it, and then he's movement 7. So like you don't get to do any of that. That's such a good runner.
Yep. I think Rumblebee is not planning to keep this team, so that'll go on the market in 2 turns or 2 rounds.
And that's a real good runner. And the Longbeards are standard. Guard first, Mighty Blow stand from after. Surprise.
Yeah. I'm playing a dwarf team in Clan. And you chose, I should say, to get Agi on the runner instead of Strength. For those who don't know, in Clan, you can choose 1 stat up. Usually,
you couldn't take Strength.
Yes, you can on dwarves. They're tier 2. So you can take Strength or Agi on runners, and I've been playing with the Agi runner, and the Agi runner is great, and I got to do some elfy nonsense sometimes. But I think on the whole, Strength is better, even given its more expensive cost. I'm not like dissing you. I just think like as I've now seen both in action, I think strength is most of the time the better pick. It's not necessarily the most obvious thing looking at it, because you're like Agi 4 dwarf that's going to be carrying the ball with like that comes with sure hands. Like of course that's amazing, but sometimes just having the ability to punch through and to be more reliable when you're holding onto it is just such a nice thing to have. And
dwarves kind of have to potato, and it turns out it's way harder to sack a potatoed strength 4 than a potatoed strength 3.
Yep. And like he's just gonna blitz through you anyway, so his lower agi is not that much of a alive.
Snake Kitties and Teddy Rose. We've got a guard, stand firm, break tackle Croxagore, which is pretty good. Those are all the skills he really wants. So it's pray for doubles or fire him.
I mean, this is also the like. Oh yeah, the Croxagore. Yeah. You would look to recycle it at some point if it like it rolls another normal. Yeah. You could get grab. Grab isn't awful, certainly. But yeah, this is the Slibly Inducement Lizard team in this division, and has been carrying that to quite a few victories. They've been doing pretty well.
And Slibly is really good.
16, 3, and 7. Yeah, Slibly is my favorite star player. He's not exciting, but he gets shit. There's nothing quite like having Slibly absorb like 3 or 4 blocks on a turn and just stand there with that like thud noise that it makes when you try to push a stand firm player.
I like Count Luther von Drakenborg, but you don't see him very often because he's incredibly expensive and only like inducible by certain teams.
Yeah, 400k Bloodlust list.
No, yeah, so good.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it for Div 6. That only took us 14 hours.
Yeah, but, good.
Shall we predict the 4 remaining games? Oh, we didn't want to look at the leaderboard first, I guess.
No, we did that already.
I have no idea what's happening anymore.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of games that have already been played because we're doing this on Sunday instead of Thursday, but power is a thing that exists. So with the REBBL, we'll do what we have left. So with the REBBL Yell versus Wood United.
So this is normally a tough matchup for Wood Elves. I find Undead, much like Orcs, are good at keeping up and having the Mighty Blow to deal with Wood Elves. That said, this Undead team does not have that much. Their Blitzer does not have tackle. There is only 1 tackle and it's on wrestle, so the damage is going to be harder to cause. Like he's going to be able to sack like a potatoed blodger certainly, but he's not going to be able to get as much attrition that an undead team would normally be able to manage with like their 4 mighty blow and like smattering of tackle.
So remember there's no ward answers, but yes. I don't think that's going to matter too much. It's going to be difficult for Luke to like sack the ball potentially on defense, but the Undead are not going to be able to deal with those catchers and stuff on offense, right? He's just going to puddle score whenever he wants.
Exactly. You give up on trying to sack the ball and you instead just try to like defend not aggressively because you don't have the bench certainly.
Just slow them down.
Yeah.
You slow them down and then outscore them. So I think I'd give that to Wood United.
I don't know. Without the ward answers, I'm reconsidering. Though the ward answers aren't that valuable against the Agi 4 sure hands. Like, what's he got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players. So he's actually at what? Wood Elf linemen are what? 60k.
70.
So he's actually at. Wait, really? Oh,
yeah, Wood Elf linemen are expensive, dude. Yeah, that's why when we were talking about the Elves, you're like, it's a 150k lineman. I'm like, it's really not that bad. They cost 70.
1640. That means the Undead are they're perfectly TV matched then. I think I might actually go Undead.
Okay. I think the Undead are going to beat the Wood Elves to death, but I think that if Luke doesn't care about his players' lives, he will probably win because Putt is disgusting. Like, it's going to be like a 3-2 type game or 4-2 or something like that. And he's going to finish the game with 5 players, but he's going to win with a lot of... He'll get points.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, either it's going to be, like, 3-2, 4-2, or it's going to be, like, 2-1 for the Undead because they pitch clear of the Wood Elves.
Yeah. Housdorf's Homewreckers and 3 Cash, 3 Crew Revengeing.
We're going to be watching this, so it's going to be a big one. Like, that's, I think, 4th place and 5th place, both of which are within spitting distance of the second ticket, so...
Normally I'd say Chorfs instantly, but he only has 4 Chaos Dwarfs or blockers.
This is kind of an exact mirror of what's happening in our div in 10D because Rice has a really gross Chorf team and he's playing against stat freak humans from Dwigs, and I MNG'd / stat busted I think 2 blockers last game, so he's going into this like human off against agi humans with only 4 blockers, so it's kind of an interesting parallel. That said, the Chorfs he does have are still the most relevant ones. He's got the 2 Claw Palmers, he's got 3/4 guard, he's got 2 really developed Bull Centaurs that are amazing at chasing down anyone who runs away, except for the lack of tackle, which is a bit of a problem. I think Randomist Namus should pick up tackle on Feigenbaum.
He's also going to get 300k in inducements because
I still hate jump up. Jump up is such a problem here. Like if this was tackle, this piece would be so much better. Anyway, he also does get some inducements. He's going to get
300k. He has 11 players.
Oh, okay, he has 11 players.
He's going to
300k is Chorfs. Chorf inducements suck. I'm pretty sure. I can't think of any good ones.
He could get Grashnak Blackhoof if he's willing to spend 10k for a Strength 6 Frenzy Horns Mighty Blow Minotaur.
It's not bad against humans. It's speedy. It's like incredibly difficult to block. I mean, it's basically impossible.
If you're willing to spend 2k, there's a Bull Centaur. He's a Strength 5 block, break, tackle, Juggernaut Bull Centaur, and then you have 3 of them, which keeps up with the
I just go like Bribe Babe, or Bribe, maybe like Bribe Apple Wizard or Bribe Babe Wizard.
You could do Nobla and like a Bribe, and then
Nobla's the Blodge one?
Yeah, he's the Blodge Chainsaw, which is actually pretty good.
It's not bad.
He's like the only chainsaw I really like, because Blodge, if you fail the chainsaw or whatever, you still have Blodge to keep yourself alive a bit.
He's already got Dirty Player, though. I don't think... Or does he have... Yeah, he's Dirty Player. So I don't love picking up chainsaws on teams that already have good fouling pieces. But yeah, I think Chorfs can still win
there's
this.
the Hobgoblin with a knife. There's a stab Hobgoblin. I forgot about him.
God. Gross.
He's dodge, sidestep, sneaky get, and stab.
Oh, I've never hated a player more.
He's a 200k Hobgoblin.
Ugh. God, kill it.
Oh, that's so funny.
Makes me physically ill.
It turns out all of the star players with stab are good because of their stats, not because they have stab. Like Skitter Stab is good because he's another gutter runner, and now you can have 5, not because he has stab.
The only good stab player
Skitter
that I like is that isn't like stat based is the Skink one, because he's got like jump up stab Blodge, I think. So like a Blodge Skink is like good value anyway, and the jump up makes this, because you can jump up stab as long as you roll the 3+.
Hemlock.
Yeah, no, it's a 2+. Hemlock isn't bad, but he's expensive.
He's the stab one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh, okay. He's Blodge Step. Like, I mean, once again, he's good because he's a Blodge Step Skink, not necessarily because he has staff.
Jump up though.
Yeah, he's a Blodge Step jump up Skink. You would buy him if he was Blodge Step jump up, not just like the stab is just a bonus. It's
no, I wouldn't. That's the bloodiest skink in the world. like Blodge Step is great. Jump up is idiotic to get on skinks.
Would you hire like a 150k mercenary skink that was Blodge Step?
I mean, most of the time, no, because turns out skinks do everything on a 3+, and loner skinks are bad then.
But Blodge Step.
I mean, it's fine. You don't need Blodge Step skinks.
Anyway, we still need to predict this game.
What do you think? You go first. I've already got an
answer. Why do you always do this? I have an answer. You predict first every single time.
Because if I do, you'll just pick the same thing. Oh, you're too influenceable.
It's a good question. Let's go with JJ Cash.
Agreed.
I think the inducements aren't going to be good enough, and I think he's going to outspeed the Chorfs pretty good. He's going to lose some players, but only 4 Chorf blockers is going to be rough. We have scaled measures and First and Forsaken Lions, so we've got the High Elves, and we've got the stupid Strength 5 Lizards. I feel like this is going to be a very high-scoring game because I think neither team can stop the other one from doing whatever they want.
Yeah, the Sackers are going to be useful against Skinks, but Lizards are pretty good against High Elves because High Elves are slow and High Elves are not strong and High Elves don't have strength access. So High Elves can get punched around a lot, and like the Strength 5 pieces that not Nalak has are going to be hard, well, basically impossible to deal with. While Drome Soride is just going to run around piling on.
Yeah,
like the armor 8 pieces, and like high elves can't really afford to foul because they're so fucking expensive. So
the lizards aren't really going to be able to stop the pass, but the high elves aren't going to be able to stop the lizards, and eventually the lizards are just going to win in the long run because they're going to break armor, and it's going to be harder. There's nothing the high elves can do against that lizard strength, and the lizards are as fast as most of the high elves. I think the lizards have a better chance at stopping the high elves than the high elves do at stopping the lizards. So I'm gonna go lizards.
So like if I were the lizards, because high elves can't one turn realistically, like they technically can. Their movement, they have a movement or 2 movement 8 pieces. No, he's only up. No, he does have 2 movement 8 pieces.
Catcher's movement,
but it's not like they're not great at it. It requires a lot of like positioning, and he doesn't have guard, so like you could just throw your strength 5 pieces on the line and throw some guard behind him, and like suddenly blitzing a Saurus into a hole to like do the chain pushes gets basically impossible. Like it's a red die, and then getting a red die that doesn't result in a knockdown or a turnover is really difficult.
I agree with David, by the way. The Chorfs don't have a bench because they have 11 players, meaning they have to field like five hobgoblins all game, and that's going to be a problem. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think the lizards, I think it's going to be a weird game because the lizards don't really have a good way of stopping the pass, but they have a better...
You just 2-1 grind. Like you force them to score. You grind up the pitch because they can't break into a strength 5 lizard cage. Like there's just nothing they can do. What are they going to do? Like spend their entire team to like commit to a corner and then blitz it off, and the lizards just stand up and punch you? Like it's not.
You have to be careful though. Like I think the lizards are going to win this, but they have to do it carefully. Like because if they ever screw up their positioning, the elves are just going to pick up the ball and hurl it away, and then you don't win that 2-1 grind.
Yeah, the elves do get a wizard. They have to spend 20k, I think, but that's not really that much of a commitment. So the wizard could be relevant, but I think I still give this to the lizards most of the time.
Me too. We have Wayside Warmongers and the Greenskin Brawlers. So Greenskin Brawlers. It's going to be hard to...
Yeah, I'm sorry, philosophical, but like this is going to be a brutal game. I mean, like it's a fully realized orc team versus the remnants of your poor humans.
You have it's your team of like 3 humans versus a solid orc team, and like everybody else in your team is just going to be a loner that the orcs are going to chew through. Like you're going to get a boatload of inducements, but can you play Griffball? Griffball is really good.
He can definitely play Griffball.
Play Griffball and maybe have a chance, but I feel like
this is a bad matchup for humans on the best of days. So
I think Griffball gives Phil a chance. And so it's not as gross as I initially thought it would be, but I still think Professor Chaos takes this. 1, like the Orc team is probably just better, and 2, when he has a record like this, it's difficult to vote against him when he literally hasn't lost a game yet.
So it's 1380. He gets almost 500k in inducements, and Griff is what, like 300?
It's a good question. He is 320.
So yeah, you could get like Griff and a wizard,
which is really good. But I don't think it saves you, right? Because you're going to have, even if you buy Griff, that makes your bench 1. And the Orcs just are going to remove a human lineman. Like it's a thing that is going to happen. And then suddenly you're down players against all that guard. And it's going to...
Yep. So then we're finally moving on to Div 7.
Yep.
Yay. Week 8. Let's look at what happened.
Yeah. Oh.
We actually have predictions too for that.
Yep, I'll get them up somewhere. I've got them
in mind. It's fine.
So lizards versus undead. We predicted lizards, and they did 2-1. Bash and Lizzie's over the Old World Wardens. Skink MVP to level him. Zombie MVP to level him. Let's see. Old World Wardens had the ball more often, but this feels like a 2-1 grind if I've ever seen one.
Yep. Definitely looks like it.
Yeah, similar number of removals. The lizards did get to outblock the undead, but that's not surprising considering Saurus are strength 4, and a lot of the times
lizards outblock basically everyone.
It's going to be
always going to get 2 dies, right?
Yeah, a lot of those blocks are going to be here. Saurus, play with this zombie, and then the Saurus is going to block him every turn and pull up the block numbers. But I imagine that was just a very standard 2-1 grind. All Bark and No Bite versus Cryptlord 2 Boogaloo. We both predicted we would predict the Welves would take this, and they did 2-1. Werewolf MVP, which is kind of nice on that Mighty Blow Werewolf to level him up.
Oh, it got a double for piling on. That's
boy.
The first claw palm werewolf in the division.
That's terrifying.
On week, a billion, but still.
If you don't go out of your way to foul him every time he's piled on, you're not playing that game correctly. All bark no bite basically never had the ball, but
never ended the turn with the ball. But that doesn't mean they weren't just scoring.
Yeah, pretty much.
4 successful passes, 4 successful catches. Like they just just ran the ball.
It's 2-1, but it's very much like, oh, the ball's on the floor, pick it up, score. Right? Oh, the ball's on the floor, pick it up, score. Like it's that style of Wood Elf play, right?
Yeah,
pop it free, go score.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they forced the Necro to score on their drive quickly enough to counter score, and then they shut out the Necro on they scored, and then they scored again probably pretty quickly on their drive, and then just defended well enough to prevent the score to end, to make it not.
Apparently, it was a very weird game.
It looks like it was probably a weird game. That much, for the Wood Elves to only have the ball a few turns.
Still scoring.
That's 1 or 2 turns of possession.
Yeah. Scored on his drive, and he scored on my drive. Yeah, very interesting. Ball on the floor a lot, probably. And it turns out there are no teams better at abusing ball on the floor than Wood Elves are. So a lot of scooping up and scoring. Suffered a bunch of removals, but most of them are KOs, so no permanent damage at least. Salty Chips versus one punch Ogre. I of course predicted the Ogres because I always will, and they lost of course because they always will. And you did the sensible thing and predicted the Dark Elves, and they won 3-1. The Agi 4 Ogre picked up MVP, which is hilarious.
Did not level yet though.
No. And the Chip, the lineman, the Agi 6 picked up a level, which is strip ball. Agi 6 wrestle strip ball. Oh, gross.
You can't hide from it.
No.
There's no hiding. You just have to guard.
That's a 3+ cage dive?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's a 2+. No, it's a 3+ for a 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Elves had the ball more often. Barely did any blocks, only 18, but they're not going to block Ogres very often. They sustained a couple casualties and a couple KOs, but it doesn't matter. They're Dark Elves. They're just going to pick up the ball and score, and the Ogres aren't really going to be able to do anything about it because they're Ogres.
Yeah, it looks like the Ogres didn't get the best removal. It looks like...
Ogres win this matchup by removing Elves, and it's harder to remove AV8, but it is Mighty Blow spam.
No, it looks like the Dark Elves rolled pretty well on armor, above average on armor and way above average on injury, which meant that the Ogres were just stunning things, and they rolled quite poorly on their block dice. They rolled the expected number of defender stumbles, but only 11 POWs. So
to be fair, I feel like if they rolled better, it would have been a 2-1 rather than a 3-1. Still,
yeah. I think you still lose, but I think that Gypsy got fewer injuries than he expected.
Should have, yeah. That's the only way Ogres win, by being a team full of Strength 5 Mighty Blow players, and so if the Mighty Blow doesn't fire, then you don't win games.
Yeah, I was watching the Sage the other day playing in some weird league where they had team building rules, and he was playing Ogres because they got a bunch of doubles and stuff, so you could just have a full complement of block
Ogres,
and hands Ogres and stuff like that. And his Ogre team didn't bonehead in the first 29 bonehead rolls.
Wow. So you just win.
So he just utterly crushed some Dwarves because what are you gonna do, right? We were basically just this is why Ogres all have bonehead, because if they didn't, they would be incredibly overpowered.
At least they don't have Loner.
Yeah, they do not have Loner, but yeah, they don't have Nega traits. It turns out a team with 6 Strength 5 pieces on it is pretty good.
Yeah. Squeaky Blind. Then we had Squeaky Blinders and the Mordheim Crypt Horrors. So we predicted that the Rats would take this, and they did. So we're actually doing pretty good for this week.
Oh, we're crushing it.
Storm Vermin for Thomas Colby, the third Storm Vermin there, has leveled up and grabbed the Claw. So if he can survive another level, he'll be very, very good. But as for now, he's going to be kind of a stun machine. But it's something you have to take, and you just pray that he makes it to the next level without dying.
Yeah, it's almost always worse to have Claw over Mighty Blow.
Except against specifically armor 9 or 10, but even then, it's...
even then, it's only marginally better.
Yeah, it's 1% better or something to have Claw over Mighty Blow in terms of removals for armor 9.
And I think that's only on removal rates. On Kaz rates, Mighty Blow is way, way better.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Kaz is what's going to level him up again. So, in terms of speed of leveling, it's I think Claw is much worse. I'd have to go look, but
oh yeah, for sure it is.
On removals overall, like winning the game.
The big thing, the big reason why Claw Mighty Blow is so powerful is that Mighty Blow activates on either armor or the injury roll, and
so
if you you don't, so a lot of the time you don't have to use the Mighty Blow on the armor roll if the armor is armor 7, and then you basically always add a +1 to the injury roll, which is going to make your removals happen much more frequently. Only one or the other isn't oppressive, but if you can save the Mighty Blow for the second roll rather than the armor break, it becomes so much better.
It's the difference between 42% and 58% on removals, I'm pretty sure.
It's a huge deal. Anyway, 2-0 for the Skaven, pretty much what we expected, right? They're just going to pick up the ball and score, and there's not much the Undead were going to be able to do about it. And it looks like that's what happened with 2-0, more ball possession. Fewer blocks, and, they took some removals, but that's what you sort of expect with Skaven. You're going to lose players, but you're probably going to win by having more players, more touchdowns. But the Mordheim Cryptor has suffered a death, which is interesting.
Rats can kill things,
Sometimes.
And then Hornstars versus Stump Force. So Chaos versus Dwarves. Not the most surprising shutout in the world, but
nope.
No one's.
We both predicted Chaos, but it's a tie, so no result there. Ben Dover picked up MVP.
Not level, but the Lodge Troll Slayer I hate so much did, and picked up Pro. Not a huge fan. Probably wanted
Piling On
or Stand Firm, something like that.
Yeah, I think I would have taken Piling On. But the Chaos Warrior is ever closer to being the important, Mighty Blow, Claw, Block, Tackle, or Piling On. I don't hate Piling On Chaos Warriors as much as I hate it on Nurgle Warriors, but I'd rather take Tackle or Guard.
Never ever take it. Take Guard.
Chaos
Warriors get Guard. Don't take Piling On.
Some people advocate for it, but just because Claw, Mighty Blow, Piling On is such an incredible combination at removing players.
I think Claw, Mighty Blow on your players that are likely to be based is enough. But yeah, Guard.
I would take Guard or Tackle if you don't have any, but probably Guard. But some people take Piling On depending on whether, and I feel like the Hornstars probably will based on what their rest of their team looks like.
So what I'm noticing here is that the Dwarves almost doubled the number of blocks the Chaos had, and I think that might speak to my Nemo's lack of guard.
Yeah,
it looks like he was just aggressively outstrengthed, and this is kind of the problem that Chaos face against pitch control teams sometimes. If they can't get the removal rate rolling, then they can't keep up in blocks because they're just
Nemo's going to take guard next on all of his Chaos Warriors, which is a good call. I like on my Nurgle anyway. I haven't actually played Chaos, but I played Nurgle, and on my Nurgle I like to sort of immediately send 2 Chaos Warriors down the block guard route, and then I'll send 2 down the Mighty Blow Claw sort of route, because you kind of need the removals to win games, especially early on as Nurgle, but later you really need that block guard in order to win games, especially against other control-y teams. So eventually they all kind of want to be block guard, stand firm, Mighty Blow, Claw kind of deal, but I'll send 2 the Mighty Blow way first and 2 the guard way first, just so you have the options.
I'm going full block first on all my Chaos Warriors. I'm probably going 3 guard, 1 Mighty Blow, or 4 guard even. My stuff is for Beastmen.
I feel like if my first 4 levels on Chaos Warriors are probably going to be block, Mighty Blow, block in that order, and then there'll be guard, block, Mighty Blow, guard, probably. I'll send 1 straight up Mighty Blow first, because Nurgle are so bad early, the only way you can win is if you get lucky, so you might as well just pray you get a little lucky. Anyway, Rats against, so I very much imagine this was both of them blocking the crap out of each other, Dwarfs being slow, so not really being able to pull anything off, but the Chaos being kind of out-muscled because the lack of guard. Rats against Teen Stars and Yield Guard is 4-1, very unsurprising for Skaven, honestly. We did predict the Rats would win this, but Rats versus Nurgle, having been on the Nurgle side of this matchup, it's bad. It's really, really hard. You're so slow. Tackle is one of the latest skills you get as Nurgle. Like we just said, Chaos Warriors don't get Tackle until the 5th skill, if they get it at all. Pestigore, Rotters never get it. maybe 1 or 2 Pestigors get it, but probably not until their 3rd skill. Like, this is such a bad matchup for Nurgle.
Unless they can like get lucky and get their beast in an annoying place, like it's basically impossible. Like you just can't kill the rats fast enough, and you can definitely not stop their score.
No, and you just get outscored, and then you can't do anything about it.
They don't need to pass; they're fast enough that they can just hand off and run to space, and there's like your disturbing presence does literally nothing.
Yep, it's pretty rough, right? Like, yeah, sure, you'll be able to hold on to the ball for like an entire drive, and you'll probably score, and you'll probably punch some rats during that, but then the rats are just gonna like continue to score whenever they get a hold of the ball.
If you ever have if anything ever goes wrong, and things always go wrong when you're Nurgle, like the rats will immediately be there to take advantage of it. And then RK versus Sugar and Spikes, we predicted Kislev would win, and they did 3-0 against the Orcs, styling on them a bit.
Leveled up a lineman, in fact.
Lots of about equal blocks, about equal removals. Bunch of KOs sustained, only 1 Kaz in the entire game.
Not a lot.
So
yeah,
not a very punchy.
No, the Orcs win this matchup by abusing, sort of Mighty Blow and Guard on Armor 8. And if the removals don't happen, you're just gonna lose because you can't do anything about the Kislev leap and all that nonsense.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the Orcs were ever able to hold onto the ball for very long.
No.
Superfed had it for 62% of the game, so that says a lot.
And the 3-0 doesn't surprise me. Superfed is very much the like, I'm a 2-turn and then defend type of player rather than the stall type of player. Almost every game we've seen him play, he'll 2 or 3 turn and then stall, try to steal the ball, 2 or 3 turn, try to stall.
Yeah, Kislev are even better than Wood Elves really at the whole like defend aggressively, force your opponent to overextend and then take advantage of it sort of team. So
yeah, there's a lot of diving tackle. Kislev catchers are like the grossest things in the universe at stopping passes because it turns out catch very long legs and Agi 4 is really good at intercepting. Yeah. To the point where like it's not the most reliable thing in the world, right? It's like a 4+ or whatever. But still, that's big enough that your opponents are not going to want to have to roll that. Right, it's less like I'm going to intercept every pass they make, and more your opponents will be like, "Fuck, I better not pass because he might intercept it." And then it's just like the threat of it makes such a big difference in terms of how you can defend.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we'll move on to week 9.
Yeah, you start talking about Squeaky Blinders. I'll be right back.
Okay, Squeaky Blinders and the Old World Wardens. Well, we didn't have a prediction because we didn't do a review last week, unfortunately. But Undead versus Rats. Slightly better for the Undead than like the Nurgle matchup is, because at least they have like sort of movement 7 ghouls to chase some rats down, and you still have the Mighty Blow spam to be able to do something there. So 1-1 where the Skaven just sort of grabbed the ball and scored, and the Undead beat the bejesus out of the Skaven to the point where this is sort of how you'd expect this type of game to go. I very much imagine, Old World ones go on offense first, beat the crap out of the Skaven, score. Skaven score back, but by then they're out of players, and it's going to be difficult for them to get another touchdown, and we end up with a 1-1 scoreline. Kind of the goal for the Undead in this matchup is to remove as many rats as possible so that it's hard for them to outscore you, and they did that, but maybe not fast enough to make it 1-0 or 2-1. Then we have the Salty Chips versus the Horn Stars. 2018. So this is Dark Elves versus the Chaos. And this is such a good Dark Elf team, it's going to be hard for Chaos to deal with it. Although Buster Good probably managed quite a bit of work in this game. MVP is nice. Block, Tackle, Mighty Blow, Piling On is a very good anti-Dark Elf tool. Claw would be nice though, because most of the Dark Elves do have Armor 8. 37 blocks to 25, so yeah. Chaos outblocking Dark Elves as you'd expect, but probably not as many as you'd like in a bash matchup. 4 casualties is not bad, but they may have come too little too late. Losing Beastmen is really rough. Potentially too little too late, especially when the Dark Elves have like those Agi 6 Dark Elves and stuff. It's just so easy for them to score whenever they want to. So probably a fairly difficult matchup for the Chaos. And I feel like I would have predicted this to go in favor of the Dark Elves just because of that. But the way the Chaos win this is by murdering Elves, and they probably didn't do it fast enough to prevent this. Or if they didn't get to go on defense first, because this is very much the sort of 2-1 grind kind of matchup. if the elves force you to go on offense first, and sure, you score on like turn 8, then they score a bunch. All bark and no bite. Rats against Teen Stars. Blitzed. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. Being forced to go on offense as the chaos against crazy edgy dark elves is not the only way you win that game is either with ridiculous Kaz dice or by 2-1 grinding, and if you don't get to go on defense first, you don't get to 2-1 grind, so
it's harder too, certainly. Yeah.
1-1 elves and rats.
This is a bit unexpected. I would have expected this to be a much higher scoring game.
Same. Although they both seem to have removed each other. 5 KOs, 2 casualties, 2 KOs, 2 casualties. It's not that many.
I mean, that's a lot for the rats. The rats sustained 7 removals on 33 blocks. I mean, one of the Kaz was a dodge or a foul.
Lineman MVP is unfortunate. The ball was on the ground for a very long time. Yeah, I believe it.
It's equally unfortunate for both teams. I guess it's a little bit more unfortunate for the Wood Elves.
Yeah, because you're not buying him.
Didn't even hire him. Yeah. Kind of looks like it was a weird game. I don't know what else to say about that.
Is it? I've never noticed that tournament is spelt wrong.
What?
If you look at the match result screen, it says 1-1 stadium disconnected ID tournament.
Oh. What?
Is that like that for every match?
I don't know.
ID tournament. It's spelt wrong.
That's bizarre.
Stupid French people not knowing how to spell English words.
Yes.
Raining in the first half, certainly not useful. But 1-1, unexpected. I mean, I couldn't have told you which way this game was going to go. Like, a tie is probably not unreasonable, but I would have thought it would have been like a 2-2 or a 3-3 tie, not a 1-1 tie. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And then
good lord. God
yeah,
damn it,
so like
Superfed.
this result is not unexpected, but the 5-0 certainly is. I feel like he's just like egging me on after I made fun of him for only 3-0ing the Ogres. Also, not really helping the Ice Submarine to get better matches argument. Not that I think that's a thing. At all. But he's crushing this div. Holy shit.
Well, the Skaven, the thing is, he's trying to run up. He's been talking about this. He's trying to run up his scores really, really hard, like attempting to do lots of 2 turns and stuff. Because
it makes sense when you're fighting. I did the exact same thing when I was fighting rats for playoffs. Like you can't afford to win 2-1 as lizards when you're potentially going to be tied with rats, right? Like I think I had like a 13 or 14 touchdown differential by the end.
Yeah, it's worth noting that he's currently on an 18 touchdown differential, and the rats also have an 18 touchdown differential. So like, despite games like this, he's still not ahead in TD differential, which is ridiculous.
Yep. Also, he full on wood elfed it. 22 blocks. He only removed 1 thing. He sustained 8 removals and 5 out.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure that some shenanigans went down here. Like, you don't 5-0 someone with any team unless, like, their AI or, like, some shit went seriously wrong for the opponent. Like, some bad 1-9s, like, repeated bad 1-9s. Let me see if I can find anything that really stands out. Made 2 failed loner rolls. That's probably 2 turnovers. You don't reroll a loner thing if it's not a turnover. He got lightning bolted.
27 skulls to 14 pows. Also,
yeah, that's certainly a thing. But he also removed the hell out of the... Anyway, yeah.
None of the blocks.
I see 1 dub skull, 2 dub skull.
No turnovers from it, but certainly forced rerolls. Dub skull reroll, dub skull reroll.
4
dub skull reroll. All of them were rerolled into knockdowns, but
that's still 4 lost rerolls, 2 dub skulls. 4 dub skulls in 50 or 60 blocks. Or no, because he didn't turn over at all, so it's just 44 blocks. That's
yeah, and then that means you don't have rerolls for stuff like picking up the ball as lizards, which turns out is a thing that sometimes has to happen, or GFIs, or like in the case of against Kislev specifically, there's a lot of tackle and diving tackle, so if you ever have to dodge those skinks, you might have to reroll them too. Sugar and Spikes and Crypt Lords 2
was a concede, unfortunately. It looks like Sugar and Spikes did not show up. Did they leave the div?
Apparently they left the div after losing to Reality Kings 3-0, which is annoying. Don't get salty about it, man. It's a game.
I mean, you can get salty. Like, everyone gets upset. I think the whole, like, be impartial is only a game is, like, of course you're going to get upset. But, like, don't rage quit divs or trash your opponent. Like, come on. It's not their fault.
I mean, it kind of is.
It's not their fault your dice are bad?
It's not their responsibility to consider your feelings.
Sure, yes. I mean, they could, like, let up, but that's not Blood Bowl. Polly the Fuzzy Parrot, the Block Mighty Blow Agi Up Wolf got the MVP, which is nice. And Cabin Boy Tom, the Strength Guard one, got... Well, those are two incredibly good players to have more SPP on, so...
Yep. Then they had Yield Guard and One Punch Ogre. I would have predicted the Ogres, but, you know, they lost again.
I would have probably predicted the Nurgle, so... Though, actually, this is a tough matchup for Nurgle. Not necessarily... at this level, but like early on, Ogres would crush.
Yeah, but these guys have enough Claw Mighty Blow and stuff that it's not going to make a difference.
Nurgle utterly annihilated the Ogres with
yeah. It turns out with a lot of guard,
12 removal.
Yeah, a lot of guard, Claw Mighty Blow, and like Strength 4 blitzes from either Horns or Nurgle Warriors means that it's surprisingly easy to knock down Ogres, and especially if you have as much like kill skills as these Nurgle do, then you just remove Ogres instead of removing Snotlings, and therefore you win the game. But yeah, like 81% ball possession, 27 blocks resulting in 8 casualties, 4 KOs, and a death is ludicrous.
Yep.
So the Ogres got like out-removed
cleared almost immediately
into oblivion.
Yeah, and like this is clearly like Ogres were just getting like removed every turn. This must have been really bad for Gypsy. Sorry, dude. I know you're having a rough time with this.
They're Ogres. You don't expect to not have a rough time.
Yeah, but his Ogres are so cool. Anyway, Stump Force 2-0'd Moretime Crypt Horrors. This is a bit surprising. I mean, Undead do struggle against Dwarves, but I guess this was kind of like...
Yeah. The guard... Yeah, I mean, the guard spam just sort of like crushing their way through resulted in 58 blocks, which is a lot.
The Death Roller, the block Death Roller is really clutch at taking out mummies. It really like marginalizes the
big strength of Undead, yeah. Like, even if you just dump the Death Roller on the two mummies and like, here you go, play with him. Even if he doesn't do anything for the rest of the game, you're gonna win that, because I would play a team full of dwarves against mummyless Undead all day, every day.
Yeah, I like I've seen Gypsy Prince, and I think it's pretty likely he's going to reroll into something else next season.
You don't play stunties for like more than a season in REBBL REBBL before being annoyed by stunties.
Yeah, I think he's played these Ogres for 2, but yeah.
So after that, Kislev is not even in first place.
It flagged David's message because he used the term gypsy, which, admittedly... is
kind of a slur against Roma people, but that's Gypsy Prince is not specifically trying to do that, and we're just saying the word gypsy as a shortened form of
Surprised
Gypsy Prince.
Flag Spigosaurus, so... Yeah,
exactly. That was the comparison I was going to make. It's like, we're not saying bad things, it's just part of their name. But yeah, Rats Against Teen Stars are actually ahead of Kislev by 1 point, because Kislev have a draw rather than a loss. And in a one playoff division, or one playoff slot, makes a huge difference.
Yep, especially given who that loss was, too.
Yep.
Well, you're gonna see it now. So heads up, if you haven't somehow noticed, RK and the Rats Against Teen Stars faced off this week, and RK lost.
Yep.
3-3.
That was the big deal, the big swing. We're gonna watch that next week, and we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, most people probably already know that happened. The loss to the Skaven made a huge difference in terms of standings. Everybody else is out. There's no way Glomar, Angrabe, PDX Bosco have a shot at catching up anymore. Like 26, 25, 18. They're too far ahead. It's going to either be Razzlestorm or Superfed in playoffs, and at this point, there's only
one ticket for this div, right?
Yep, and Superfed just is praying. He's gonna have to win every game he plays, and he's gonna have to pray that the Rats Against Teen Stars lose a game for them to be even, and he's gonna have to keep running up the TD differential, because if their right now their TD differentials are identical. They're both 18, which is hilarious, because if you look at the other TD differentials, so Glomar, the Bash and Lizzies, is in 3rd place. Tell me what his TD differential is. Take a guess. Don't look at it.
Sorry.
Take a guess.
I got a message. Repeat the last half of that again.
Glomar is in third place with the Bastion Lizzies. Guess what his TD differential is?
4.
-1.
Nice. He pulled EU.
Yep. But like the TD differentials in this league are 18, 18, -1, 7, 4, -2, -1, -4, 0, -2, -5, -8, -9, -15.
Everyone.
I know. It's really funny.
The Lizards would be at 4, which is exactly what I said if they hadn't gotten 5-0.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But like, so Superfed and Razzlestorm are dead even on touchdown differential. He's 1 point behind Razzlestorm, and Razzlestorm won in the head-to-head matchup, obviously. So Superfed is going to need to keep his foot on the gas real hard, roll up that TD differential, win every game, and then pray that the Rats lose to someone else is the only way he's making playoffs. So one of those two teams. So teams now?
Yeah, let's look at it. What we got? I just wanted to pull up real quick to have a look.
It depends on what the schedule is like, but the Rats need to either draw or lose a game. But like it's the winning the game is more important than the TD differential. But if you're winning the game, you might as well try to run up the score more just in case. I think is the big thing there, right? Because you're gonna kick yourself if you're like, I could have made that game a 3-1 instead of a 2-1, and then you end up losing by a 1-1 TD differential. If you care about playoffs, that is, I guess. Anyway, Salty Chips and Angre. We have, as we've seen, Chip the lineman has picked up Strip Ball, so now we've got an Agi 6 Dodge Wrestle Strip Ball lineman. That's incredible.
I'm still like, I have like such mixed feelings about Agi 6. I ultimately think it is cool, but not necessary most of the time. But yeah, that is an impossible to deal with piece, certainly.
Yep. You can't stop him from running through your lines. You can't stop him from like diving your cage. It's super annoying. I mean, he's 210k for a lineman, but it's very good.
It's true.
Anything else new here? I think this sidestep on Spicy Chip is new. So we've got strength 4 block sidestep, which
like the perfect surfing piece.
Yeah, very annoying to counter surf. Doesn't need any assists to do the 2-die surf on their own, so you don't need to waste a player with that. You just like, oh look, a player 2 spaces away from the sideline. You're surfed. Enjoy.
Yeah, we'll look at that in a second, David. We're gonna talk about like both coaches and their matches coming up because that is going to be incredibly relevant.
Nothing else new, maybe?
Yeah, really lacking guard, and I think we've talked about this before in the rookie Discord. I think elf teams over prioritize Mighty Blow and undervalue having that one guard. I think if they had to pick between the two, having the guard is often better. Like Dark Elves are punchier than most elves, but even then I think having the ability to get in that assist when you need it for the sack is just so relevant a lot of the time.
The Mighty Blow helps a lot in elf-specific matchups, but the guard helps as well, and the guard helps in other matchups more than the Mighty Blow does. The first doubles I rolled on most elf teams, unless they were already like, you know, a War Dancer or something, I would take guard. Right? If I rolled the double on any elf lineman or any elf like blitzer, I would just take guard as the first one, and then Mighty Blow probably as the second one.
Probably not a high elf catchers are kind of hard because high elf catchers make amazing killers because they're movement 8 strength, but they're also amazing guard pieces. Yeah, mixed feelings. Anyway, Tetsuya is next. Lest we go down that rabbit hole.
Yep.
Really nice guard spam. Nice the easy 4 guard pickup on your strength access players. Doesn't have any doubles for guard on his 10,000 zombies.
I both love and hate Mr. Skeletal still.
Yeah, as we say every time. The plus movement, armor busted, block, stand firm mummy is mostly good and a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, you keep him. Block plus movement, guard, stand firm is too good. Armor 8 is unfortunate because he's gonna get murdered eventually, but until then, he's incredible.
I don't know about plus movement and stand firm. I feel like I get the stand firm is good. I feel like I might have skipped the movement. I don't love movement on mummies.
I do.
We've had this argument before. I don't know. I think stand firm does most of the work of movement while also adding extra utility, and you could have picked up something like grab, break tackle.
You'd have taken plus armor.
Shut up.
And then he'd still be armor 9 if you did.
Oh yeah, for the cool 20k, 30k, whatever. I think it's 30k. Anyway,
nothing else. No, I don't think there's anything else new. That Agi might be new on the Ghoul.
I think the Mighty Blow is new on the White.
Yeah, so Blitzer White. He's got Agi to be like both useful on attempting to score with dodges or whatever, or dodging if you need to get that guard in a useful place. But if you don't, he's got the Tackle Mighty Blow block blitz option, which is really good. And then Jimmy, where is he? Agi, Blodge. He's a good ball carrier. Probably get Sure Hands next. Very good. Hey, thanks, Lopez. We've also been fairly inconsistent with it, unfortunately. We've had to move the schedule a few times. My power went out. We missed a week because I was sick. Kind of sucks, but our schedules don't mesh incredibly well these days. And
That's true.
Also, it turns out when we do super long form reviews like this, we have to block off a lot of time. I like doing the long form reviews, and I think a lot of people like the long form stuff as well, but it's very time consuming. So it's the scheduling is difficult.
Though kudos, Volpez, for sticking it in with your Chorf team, despite its,
So I think you mean sticking it out?
Sorry, what?
I think you mean sticking it out.
What did I say?
Sticking it in, which is a very different thing.
I work in porn. I haven't eaten today, so my brain is starting to...
I ordered $100 worth of pizza last night.
Nice. I love when you do the, it's like a weeknight and it's like 7 p.m. and I haven't eaten yet. Let's order like $80 worth of Indian food.
Well, so Emily's parents got gifted Boston Pizza gift cards for like Christmas, and Boston Pizza is terrible, so they weren't going to use them. So they're like, here, you guys have these. So we ended up with $100 in Boston Pizza gift cards and didn't really know what to do with them. So instead of like being reasonable humans and like inviting friends over or just going out a couple times, we just ordered $100 worth of Boston Pizza pizzas, and they're just in the fridge, and I'm going to eat pizza for 3 days. I mean, free food for 3 days, which is great, but, it's Boston Pizza, which is, the downside to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd eat that, but, Tristan doesn't go in for it's caloric and cheap, let's just have it forever kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
She has standards and enjoys food. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good pizza, but it was $100 of free cheap pizza, so we just... Instead of doing the reason, it was also fun to just order $100 worth of pizza and then eat all the random sides that came with the pizza and be like, great, I'm full, and just have full pizzas in the fridge. Anyway, Squeaky Blinders. So we've got Claw picked up on Thomas Colby finally, which is great. Unfortunately, Arthur Colby is the one with Mighty Blow tackle piling on guard, but we'll get there eventually now.
Killer, it's fine. You got an elf killer and a guard piece. You've got an armor 9 killer. It's fine. You're happy to see it, certainly. I think, yeah, you'd rather it be on Arthur Colby II, but it's not by any means a bad.
And he still has a few levels chance to roll doubles, so he could get it too. But man, Finn Colby and John Colby, we've got double wrestle, strip ball, 2 heads, gutter runners, which is disgusting.
Yep, one of them even has tackle, so no hiding from him. He's going to take the ball from you if you can get a hold of it.
Ball carrier 1
Holy
with Fend is interesting. You don't see Fend on the gutter runners very often, but
no,
sidestep Fend is pretty good.
As their Agi4 dodge, you don't Fend isn't usually as relevant. It does prevent the frenzy follow-ups, which can be nice, and it makes it harder to pin them in. Though again, it's hard to pin in Agi4 dodge reliably.
Yeah, but just imagine that. I'm gonna try to mark up this player, and then you potato with that gutter runner a bit. And then your opponent is like, well, we'll mark him up, and then we'll blitz. We'll try to make it we'll get that 2 die on him or whatever. And then you just sidestep into the most convenient position because you're going to get to choose after they put their players down. And then you just say, nope, you can't follow. And then you get to score for free. It's incredible.
Sure, but it's the difference between scoring for free and scoring on a 1 in 36. So
I mean, I would pay $20K for the chance to not roll 2 dice.
Never play rats, Ben.
Yeah.
Rolling dice is where it's at. 1 in 36 is, they happen, but they're not the most likely.
Then again, I play Orcs and Nurgle, where a good game is one where all of your D6 have single digits in terms of numbers of rolled things.
Exactly. I have to roll D6.
Strength thrower, but we've seen that before. And nothing else new here, I don't think.
A solid team. It's unfortunate that his guard piece and his best block gutter runner are out for next game, but the team is...
And then my Nemo and the Hornstars. So we've got some chaos. No guard yet still, but we'll get there. They all need it.
Yeah, so he's got one guard. This is why the Dwarves beat the hell out of him. Like,
yeah,
that's what this team is certainly lacking. That's the biggest drawback of going the kill Chaos Warriors first, and it's why.
Yeah, it's
I'm not doing that.
You'll do well early potentially when you can just remove players and stuff, but because you're gonna remove a lot of players with 4 Mighty Blow Claw players, but by the time your opponents catch up to the point where that they have guard spam, you just can't get good blocks, and you just get kind of shoved around, and there's not a whole lot you can do. But man, throw 4 guard on this team, or 3 more guard, I guess, on the other Chaos Warriors, and then like a guard on Richard Rockhard, that Beastman, and suddenly it's a really good Chaos team, right?
Yeah, it's not how I'm building mine, but I see the merit in.
Yeah, it's your couple. There's going to be a couple really rough matchups for you. Like Dwarves are suddenly really hard. Orcs are probably going to be pretty hard, but a lot of your
that's kind of the problem with it for me. Like, the whole point of this is to kill armor teams, and you are bad against armor teams because you don't have guard yet.
Well, you'll be good against all the armor 8 armor teams. Like, you'll be really good against humans. You'll be really good against like dark elves. You'll be really good against like high elves.
I also get the I'm in it for the long haul run, but the problem with I'm in it for the long haul is in the meantime you're losing games, and when you're losing games you're getting the shit kicked out of you, and you're getting the shit kicked out of you, your players die.
Yeah, it's there's two, like, you can go either way, and I don't hate going this way. It just means that you're, instead of going with the it might be hard but I can probably try to win games route, you're going the like, there are certain matchups that I'm just gonna lose. Anytime you run into guard spam, you're just giving yourself, you might as well just not play the game, because you're very likely going to lose it unless you get really lucky.
Don't tell people not to play games.
Yeah, that's a bad way of thinking, but you know what I mean, right? Like, it's basically a foregone conclusion when you go up against guard spam with a team like this, but when you get 3 or 4 more guard, suddenly you beat them every time, right? Like that dwarf game you just played, if you played them next season with this exact team, but guard on Luke Thywalker, Richard Rockhart, Bendover, and Lance Thruster, suddenly you win the game. Like, it becomes 100 times easier for you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like getting to the reasonable, like, I actually have a team level with my chaos, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, you're gonna have yeah. It's gonna be good against a lot of teams, but you're gonna have a lot of trouble against guard spam teams, basically, as you saw against the Dwarves, right?
Yep.
And that'll change once you get some more guard, and then you'll be actually favored in that matchup. So I would focus on trying to level those Chaos Warriors and getting guard.
For sure. And then we have Razzlestorm's disgusting first place routes.
Yep.
Have not given up a loss all season.
And you can see why. Claw, Mighty Blow, Horns, Sidestep, Block, Tackle, Block, Sidestep, Agi, Leap, Sure Hands, Wrestle, Dauntless, Strip, Tackle, Shadowing, Diving, Tackle, Sidestep, Block. Oh god,
that's so fucking annoying.
That's the most annoying piece I've ever seen.
Caleb McFallen is appropriately named A, and B is just an utterly annoying.
Oh. Block, Sidestep, Diving,
I might have
Tackle,
gone
Shadowing.
Tackle over Shadowing. Like, Shadowing and Diving Tackle don't really, like, they have synergies in the sense that if they just straight up pass the Diving Tackle, you can then try to shadow them. But I think I like Tackle more overall. Like, I see the appeal of Shadowing.
It's fun.
It's definitely fun. I think Tackle is definitely slightly better.
I think Tackle is slightly better. I think I would have taken Tackle, but I mean,
Tackle
just take Tackle
has utility
next.
outside of the stick this on a person and like leave.
Shadowing is fun.
Shadowing is fun, and every time it triggers, everyone cheers. Like,
yay!
And if it triggers during the playoffs, like you know, everyone's gonna cheer, and Herring's gonna be like, "Oh, Shadowing," and then Ornan will be in chat, and then, you know,
memes. It'll be on the bingo, the playoff bingo card.
I am Shadowdora, you know, it's the thing.
It'll be on the playoff bingo card for sure. No, Diving Tackle is good. We're saying we want the tackle instead of the shadowing.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said Diving Tackle.
Oh, I missed. I read Tackle, Diving Tackle, and my brain just ignored the first tackle because it thought there were two separate. I don't know. You know that thing.
I agree, David. Yeah. Your brain just automatically like removes things that don't make sense immediately.
Yeah, and all of the levels are on. None of the levels are on linemen, so it's like this is such a great Skaven team. The only thing it doesn't have is a one-turner, but like whatever. When the team is this good, you don't really need that to do well.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly like one of the great things that Skaven can get. But
he'll get tackle next. And if I took tackle first instead of shadowing, I would probably take shadowing after.
I bet you $10 donated to REBBL that player dies before it gets.
Really?
Yeah, 13 SPP for a player that never scores. Yeah, it's gonna die. Anyway,
die or get fired.
Yeah, same thing. Whatever.
Okay.
Retires before it levels.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you said die, I would take that bet. If you mean retire, I don't really want to because I think you're right.
So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's important to acknowledge. Like, I think people get a little too focused on, but next level he'll get X. Like, that's not a great argument to make in Blood Bowl, because a lot of the time, especially once you get to level 4, level 3, some players, like, a player has to be, because a lot of the times that's like realistically the last level they're going to get, or like it's going to be an incredibly long time. So when you play for those really greedy picks, like in that mid to late game, like you're often just like making a bad bet, right? Like you're betting I'm going to get to this point. It
depends on the player.
Of course, yeah. Like making it on like a war dancer that's can rack up SPP like no one's business is really good, or is at least better.
Or on a player that is going to be your new dedicated ball carrier like 100% of the time because he's going to be getting a lot of touchdowns, or on like a strength 4 or 5 regen like type armor 9 sort of like a Nurgle warrior. Like I still have Nurgle warriors on my team from literally the first game. Right, they're going to stick around. But on like a gutter runner, like he's gonna die.
He can feed that dude, but does he want to feed that dude just so he has the full meme complement? Like,
I don't think so.
I wouldn't want to feed that dude. I would want that dude to be fucking done. You know?
Reality Kings. Is there anything new? I have no idea. There are too many levels.
Too much. I think Juggernaut is fairly new.
The wrestle on HD Love is new because that was from the MVP that he got. So another wrestle player, certainly really handy, especially another leap wrestle option.
5 guard and 3 of them are blanche.
Yep. Captain Stabbin is a monster. Mighty Blow piling on, block tackle Juggernaut.
Yep. I mean, he made the All-Star Cup last time, so.
I hope, man, I really want Nurgle to be in the Superstar Shootout this year because I've got some good players that I want to throw at it.
It's funny, they have to construct them manually because you can't actually put Nurgle on those teams.
You can, but it's the only team that allows it is Nurgle Chaos, and that's very boring.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so many good players, man. Come Fiesta is really good.
A lot of the like the capstone stuff is new, like we were just talking about. Like he's saying, like a lot of these side steps are new, a lot of the tackle is new. Like kind of like the last thing you want in a player, right? Like Come Fiesta is done. He's got stand firm, guard, and tackle. That's the perfect support piece. Maybe dodge would make him a little bit better, but like he doesn't need it.
Nope.
Sidestep on a plus movement catch piece. There, that's your one turner. He's done. Like you could get sprint.
You could get another plus movement.
But like that is him. He's now reached the point where he's doing exactly what he wants to do, and like levels after that just kind of like slightly augment his abilities.
Diminishing returns have kicked in.
Yeah, well, sprint is a significant increase, but he won't get that till legend. So. And like sidestep is great because it provides utility outside of the one turn in addition to its one turn utility, so it's just like a great
bunch of sidestep everywhere, really handy. Another guard piece that now has block and guard. Also leap guard is surprisingly fun because you can leap guard into fun places, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean like you can get a pretty reliable 2-die just by doing a 2+ leap.
The biggest thing for me is that there's a second tackle now, right? So Come Fiesta has tackle. Before, the only tackle on the team was Captain Stabbin. So having a second option for that is really handy, just because, dodge players or blodge players can be so rough, especially if you only have one tackle. So having a second, either to put on people because you have diving tackle, or for the blitz potential where we're going to blitz and knock over the dodge guy. But 2 diving tackle guys, and 2 options of blitzing blodge players and having a reasonable chance at knocking them down, especially with Captain Stabbin because the Juggernaut. But
yeah. And as he's pointing out, like this is kind of like what I was thinking about earlier. I was trying to imagine what the worst matchups for most Kislev teams are, and I think the answer is usually things like, Undead, Orcs, like things with a lot of Mighty Blow for on AV8, things with like reasonably common access to sure hands, and like strength 3 ball carriers with general access. So like,
and then
Blizzards
guard
well.
block.
Wizards do well in the blocking game, but can't hold onto the ball, so like it's the same problem they always have. But Superfed has built his team to handle those pitch control teams, right, and the kill teams.
Because there's 5 guard.
He outguards them. He's like way more mobile than they are. But like that has caused inevitably his like game against Agi teams, something that Kislev are usually pretty good at, to suffer a little bit because he didn't have the tackle until now. So like it's good to see him kind of like compensating for that by picking up tackling.
And diving tackle makes up for that in a lot of situations, but not as often as
sometimes it's not a real skill, and people make 5 of them in a row and then you cry.
Yeah, and it also comes at a cost of having a 2,000 TV Kislev team.
That's fine. It's a great team.
It is.
Deserves to be 2,000 TV.
That's very true.
I'm excited I hope it makes playoffs, not to like shit on Razzlestorm at all, of course, but like I want to see weirder teams make playoffs, so like
same.
Kislev going really far would be cool.
And we won't talk about Sugar and Spikes because they left. So laundry's done. Ye old guard.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Losing or like having things go awry at the last minute when you thought everything was in the bag is something I'm very familiar with. I lost
Chorfs fucking inaccurate passing the ball to a bull centaur to score. Yeah, I understand.
4%. Got 4%ed this week. It was great. Spicosaurus is a bastard.
I've had worse. And you know it.
Yeah, I think it was like 2.5% on your orc play. Yeah.
And I've had my favorite is the dodge, the 3+ dodge, 4+ pickup after double GFI, 5+ pass, or 6+ pass, which he rolled a 5 on, so it was still inaccurate, bounced into the hands of the guy he was trying to pass it to anyway, and scored with him. Was another annoying one. And that the guy he passed it to was a bull centaur in Disturbing Presence, so it was a 5+ catch.
It's pretty good.
That's my favorite one so far. That caused a win to be a tie instead.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. It was like a click player, click ball, like run through 10 players, maximum range pass to a player downfield kind of thing.
Diving catch is a weird skill that you don't see very often, and most people don't know how to use it because it's a skill that's only ever really on Kislev catchers because no one takes it.
Yeah.
All
right.
It turns out it does give you a +1 to catch, but most of the time people who are passing have Agi anyway, and you don't want the +1, so it doesn't matter. That's a weird skill that doesn't really come into play very often. Anyway, yeah. A really Beast of Nurgle standard. He's got Stand Firm now. The 2 skills you care about, Guard and Stand Firm.
The biggest argument for most Beast of Nurgles is like the order on those 2 skills.
I like Stand Firm first. Some people like Guard first.
I like Guard first. I think Nurgle really, really, really need the Guard.
I mean, they do, but I tend to take it on the Nurgle Warriors and like earlier than other Nurgle players do, so you can make up for that way. And I often use the Beast of Nurgle as a, here you go, 3 players, mark them, just make them not capable of doing anything, and you have like you have a pseudo player advantage in that they have 3 players that can't move, and then Stand Firm means that he's less likely to get pushed around and get the players back into the game.
This is also why you're on your 4th Beast.
No, I'm on my 2nd Beast.
What? No, you're on at least your 3rd, right?
No.
Really? I thought you were on more.
Nope.
Anyway.
The first one was named Venusaur, and this one is named Ivysaur. The naming scheme kind of gives that away there.
I can't wait till you run out, like when Bulbasaur dies, and you're like, oh shit.
We'll start over.
Dirge and Undying are both kind of like... Dirge is a bit weird with the tackle before guard.
He just needed it because he didn't have it. Sometimes you don't have the choice.
Dead is a new one. Is Lord Doggo Niggled? He is. That's really, really bad.
And at least he's regen, but I mean, it's still bad.
Yep. Got a Russell tackle piece. Always really nice to have on Chaos and Nurgle. Got the really good ball carrier.
Turns out Horn's Russell tackle is really handy.
Yep, and then he's got to fire his support Rodder, unfortunately. I mean, I guess your kick dirty player piece is probably not going to take too many blocks, so keeping him around for a bit isn't bad, but you don't really want an armor 7 80k piece hanging around on Nurgle. Anything else? He also really needs more Rodders. He doesn't currently have enough for the LOS, so...
And he's also, even if that Rotter was still around, you're not putting your kick on the LOS because that is literally useless. So he's looks like he's going the Beast of Nurgle Warrior on the line sort of play, which is probably why he has a dead Nurgle Warrior and an MNG'd or Niggled one. And Life Stolen is the standard. Oh fuck! I didn't roll Agi. Pestigore.
We didn't really have the conversation, but I think that's how it works, Volpez. The kickoff is an inaccurate pass. An inaccurate whatever. So Div and Catch would kick in, but maybe I'm wrong there. Honestly, I have zero idea. I'm just trying to intuit it.
It's +1 to any catch roll from an accurate pass, first of all, which is generally why people even consider taking it, because you just get a +1 to catch. So it's like fake Agi 4 if you really need it on like a human catcher or something. But that's like the only case that it matters, because most of the time that Agi 4, your catchers are Agi 4 anyway, if you're Elves or Kislev. But the other thing is that if it's if the player may catch any pass, kickoff, or crowd throw in that would land in an empty square in one of his tackle zones as if it landed on him. Right, so that counts for a kickoff, it counts as a pass, or it counts as it bouncing out of the crowd, but it doesn't count for scatters.
Okay, so you don't get the +1, but other than that, I was right. Cool. Don't put your Nurgle Warriors.
The weird thing is, I didn't know this. If there are 2 or more players attempting to use the skill, neither can use it. So if you have 2,
even if they're both of your players,
yeah. So if you have 2 diving catch players on either side of a square,
like you should have to choose. Like I get if it's opposing players, it should cancel out because it does the same thing with sidestep and what is it? There's two skills that cancel out: grab and sidestep.
They also crash the game sometimes.
Yes, but it's like if you roll a POW on a person with whatever, it doesn't matter. That's really strange. I would expect you to be able to choose if they were your team's players. Like you'd only try it with one, but like to have it cancel out when they're both your players, like I guess like they're saying, oh, they both stumble for it and get in each other's way, but that's just idiotic.
Well, I think the idea is it gives you the choice of it's allowing you to choose where the ball scatters, which is not something, because if you had 2 players that had the option of it, you're choosing which direction the ball ends up going because you're picking which guy is going to have the chance to catch it.
Yeah, sure. You have 2 players with diving catch. Like you should be rewarded which I
don't think is something that they want, because that's something that should inherently be controlled by sort of the scatter dice roll thing, right? Like it's kind of weird. It allows you to choose which way the ball could scatter, right? So like there's a lot of weird edge cases, right? Imagine that there's one guy on the sideline, one not on the sideline, and it scatters between them. Now you can attempt to catch it with the guy on the sideline and force it to have it attempt to scatter out if you really wanted it to scatter out for whatever reason. So you're like forcing the ball to move like 3 squares away than it was trying to go to, just by virtue of being able to choose which diving catch player is picking up the ball.
Good. That's your reward for having 2 shitty players with shitty skills. I don't know. I think it's like, I don't think it's broken. Like I think it's like it's so rare to have this occur that like
there might also be a weird code thing there, is that they don't have the game coded in a way that allows you to select which player.
They do obviously on some level for things like a touchback, but like I don't know if they have it specifically set up for like choices within events.
Yeah, because there's probably ball scatter event, check if these things, and then if there were 2, the code might just break, and it was
because it has to be able to determine which players are viable, and like and maybe it doesn't have. I mean, it's got to determine viability on some level because it's a video game. There's lots of like viability checks or whatever you want to call them. So like anyway, whatever. We're getting way into the weeds on this. Yeah, Yayo's team is pretty good. It needs guard. My God, does it need guard?
Does it work that way on tabletop, I guess, is a good question. Because that would answer whether it's a team, it's a building, or a cyanide thing or not.
Sorry, what?
If it's does it work that way in tabletop? Like they cancel each other out? Because that would imply that it's a cyanide thing if it does. Or doesn't. Anyway, yeah, it needs more guard, certainly, and they're going to have a hard time against guard-heavy teams until then. But, yeah.
Doesn't it sequentially take you through? Because it's all on manual. Doesn't it go like, do you want to use diving tackle on player A? And if you said no, do you want to use diving tackle on player B? Because if it doesn't work like that, I need to know. I had always assumed it was like that.
No, you choose to use diving tackle or not. And then it just picks one of them.
Picks one randomly? Wow, that's fucked.
Anyway, Stump Force. They've still got their Death Roller, and they're going to Bribe Stadium, and he's a block guard Death Roller, which is incredible. There's a Strength 4 runner, which, as we've talked about, is very handy, but he's now movement busted, which is not handy. So I don't know. Do you keep the Strength 4 movement 5 runner around? I don't think I would. It's really good, but you have a runner in the block leader kickoff return fend one. I think I'd get rid of Rares and then get a new runner and build him as a wrestler. The movement 5 is both bad for being a wrestler and bad for being a ball carrier. The Living Rulebook 6 wording is what?
Does not have the weird 2-player thing, so it's got to be a cyanide.
Yeah, so it's got to be a cyanide thing. Is that they...
Yeah, so like, but that's a big deal for Kislev. The fact that there's this anti-synergy between diving catch and diving tackle, not between the two, but like for like multiple players with diving catch and multiple players with diving tackle, is a big deal for Kislev on a team that's already kind of garbage.
Well, the thing to do there though is that like, in most cases, you don't want 2 diving tackle players covering the same square because you're literally wasting 3 of your diving tackle zones, right? If they were 1 square apart, you're now covering 16 squares of the field instead of.
Shit happens, you know. Like, there's no reason you should be punished for this. It's just like bad coding.
Yo, welcome to cyanide.
I know. I'm just like, I'm not willing to defend it because it's like sure, it's like a sort of thing that shouldn't happen, but it's gonna happen.
They never did anything about, like, I don't think they haven't fixed a lot of the bugs. Like, we did submit a bug report for the weird like stand firm strip ball dodge nonsense. And,
I did, yeah.
Yeah, and nothing's ever been done. Like, somebody posted good catch on the bug report thing, and then it's never been addressed since.
Yeah, I mean, like he's saying, your diving tackle or strength access, so like you will often have a bunch of them next to each other because they're going to be your guard line and things. Oh, like
yeah, the diving tackle thing is stupid. I'm less upset about the diving catch thing because it's like probably objectively worse to have your diving catch players covering the same square. The diving tackle thing is stupid. The diving catch thing is mostly irrelevant, I think, unless the very niche situations where you aren't aware that that's a thing, which I suppose I wasn't until right now, and then it could be a problem. But I don't hate it as
movement
much.
Bust on a plus strength dwarf runner to drag us kicking and screaming back.
I was talking about that.
Stat busty.
I already talked about that and said I would fire him.
I would also fire him. It's a really, really shitty thing.
It's not worth it. Strength is good, but you already have a ball carrier, and the movement 5 strength 4 on the dwarfs is basically useless. Like, I would, especially if you didn't have a good runner already, I would consider holding on to it until you could get a new one at least leveled. But he should be fired like right now. It's not even worth keeping him. And then, you know, we've got a Mighty Blow Pro Dodge Troll Slayer, which is a little weird. But that's not new. We've talked about that before. Guard spam, Mighty Blow spam, strength where you can get it seems good, and the block guard Death Roller, along with the Bribe Stadium, is a great combo.
Yep. Yeah. Good looking dwarf team. The only dwarf team I've seen use a Death Roller in a way that makes me happy. Because I still hate
the
dodge
big thing is you got
on
block.
the Troll Slayer, but yes, the block.
Dr. Spagooters, Undead.
Spagoots having a rough go lately.
A lot of stats on the Undead team, though, which is kind of what you want. We got an Agi White, we got a Strength White, we got a Movement Ghoul. All nice things to have. Although the niggle on the White is really unfortunate, especially since he's guard.
Mummy. Both are truly off.
Yeah, both of those players are players that are going to get marked and punched a lot. One, because the mummies are Strength 5, so you use them for that. And the Ghoul is Strength 4 and guard, so you're going to use them for that too. So they're both going to get punched, which means that their lives are shorter than they should be. But they're too good to get rid of for now, but they will die. Just always try to keep yourself at 150k so you can get a new one.
Yep, exactly. I would probably look to recycle the mummy soon.
Yeah, I'd wait until the other mummy levels so you can have guard on him, and then I'd recycle him. I
would have taken guard before stand firm, but yeah.
Yeah, probably. I would have, but you can't. You need guard on at least one of the mummies, or you'll have a really rough time.
Like Superfit is saying, there's undoubtedly great mummies on the market because Undead is a team that gets cycled a lot. So
yeah,
I think if you saved up and maybe sold off something,
Yeah, I would save a ton of money and probably try to get a good mummy or something. That guard wrestle, as we've talked about, you can't control any roll doubles. Little annoying that happened on the guard ghoul or the wrestle ghoul, but you still take it because guard on movement 7 is incredible, and it's not the end of the world. It's very good to have.
Yeah, to save for mummies in the market. Also, like, you could consider selling one of these ghouls. They're great, but like if it was between selling a ghoul and not have, and then or like having a rookie mummy, I would probably just sell the ghoul and buy it. But
yeah, you can level ghouls pretty quickly. They're gonna score. It's hard to level mummies, so like I would rather buy a mummy and then level a new ghoul than have to have a rookie mummy that you have to try to level and have a good ball carrying ghoul. 4 ghouls is interesting. You don't always see that, but 2 of them are guard, so that kind of makes sense to me. Getting 2 guard ones is really handy, and then you can have another one that you build as like ball carrier or whatever.
Well, he's still looking for a sacker. Like Spine Chewer is the
ball carrier
/ one turner potentially. And he hasn't managed to get one that won't roll guard yet. So
so you keep buying new ones.
Gypsy Prince. Then we have Gypsy Prince, who, despite being pitch cleared the game before last, is still sitting at 1800 TV, so he's no worse for wear for it.
No.
Still has the Strength 6 Agi 3 Ogre, still has the Agi 4 Ogre.
He's an Armor 8, but he's also Agi 4.
Yeah, this team is so fun. I'm a little sad. It's been getting the rough end of some dice.
Death Down is 1 SPP away from leveling, and he's got Break, Tackle, Juggernaut, Grab, and Piling On. So you kind of pray for doubles because there's nothing else you can get other than Guard for normals.
I mean, Guard isn't bad. I mean, you're never sad to pick up Guard, especially on the Ogre team. I think actually what this team lacks is Guard. One of the big things that Ogres can do is just like go all mans with a bunch of guard pieces, and then like what are people going to do? Right?
But he's like literally running out of strength skills that you can pick because he has all of them.
Which is funny because strength only is often a pretty solid category to be choosing from.
And he's like, I think am I missing one? I think that's only guard left, right? Because he has Mighty Blow, he has Thick Skull, he has.
He could get Grab. He doesn't have Grab.
Yes, he does.
Oh, he doesn't Grab. What am I talking about? He doesn't have Stand Firm.
Stand Firm and
he doesn't have Strong Arm.
Oh yeah, Strong Arm. I forgot that was a skill.
Yeah,
it's actually not bad because you can throw Nobblars. It's not bad to have a dedicated.
I don't think you want it on your killer though.
No, but having a dedicated on an Ogre team, having 1 Ogre with Strong Arm as like your dedicated throwing player is not bad to have. It makes the 1 turns significantly easier. Not even remotely reliable, but not even remotely reliable, but still something.
I don't think this team is sticking around, so probably not worth talking about the development too much.
No, but it's fun. I like this Ogre team. I want to see Jimmy Leftfoot and Blitz end up on some other Ogre team somewhere.
They will, I'm sure. And then we have Cryptlords 2 Boogaloo by Redbeard. 2 really good werewolves. Mighty Blow plus Agi makes kind of opening blitzes a lot more reliable because you can just dodge away, and he's 2 SPP away from getting tackle or dodge, probably tackle. And then you have the Claw Palm 1 for when things are safer and you just want to cause some attrition.
As opposed to the other Necro team that we've saw, which has leveled 7 times and not rolled doubles, these 2 werewolves have leveled 3 times each and rolled normals, doubles, stats, normals, doubles. Yep. So he's stealing all the doubles from Spagooters or whoever the other undead was.
It wasn't Spagooters.
Or the other Necro. The other Necro.
Was, the one who's actually doing quite well.
Very cool. Common Nightmares.
Exactly.
Stealing all the levels from him.
2 good whites, both kind of in the support role, as you often see, like we said, for Necro. 2 unfortunate flesh golems. He's at least paying his taxes. Really good ghoul. Captain Boy Tom is disgusting, and Poop Deck Swapper Jerry is going to be the
Cabin Boy Tom is both good as a support piece with Strength 4 Blodge Guard, and also good as a ball carrier because Strength 4 Blodge Movement 7.
Yeah, and then we've got the Sacker, who's just waiting to get tackle, but there's already 2 tackle on the team, so it's not looking too bad.
Glomar. Lizard team. He's not doing terrible, but
he's got 6 wins. I mean, he's doing quite well. It's just a matter of like the competition in the div being so fierce that quite well is true. Definitely not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing okay when he has 6 wins or whatever. This is kind of annoying to say, but I mean, you can see why he got 5-0'd. There's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do.
Oh man, he aggressively outguarded, or he was aggressively outguarded by the Kislev. I mean, definitely out mobility'd. It's impossible to protect your skinks. I mean, that's the biggest problem versus Kislev is no matter what you do, they're going to have a 1 or a 2 die on your ball with, block, tackle, mighty blow.
Yeah, and you've got no sure hands anywhere or anything.
You've got no
no
sure
block.
hands, no general access on your ball carriers. It's just going to beat the living hell out of you.
Yeah,
so.
There's no wonder this team got 5-0'd against the Kislev, but they've been doing really well despite not having a ton of level ups on the lizards. Yeah, you get Slibly. Slibly's so good. Two lizards not having block yet is kind of annoying, but really once they get block, that's really all the team wants, and the lizard team can still be efficient and probably still get Slibly and that stuff. You've got your sidestep catch skink, you've got a sprint skink, but most of the levels are on the Saurus, and they've got the stuff you want. You've got a block one, you got block ones, you got a tackle one, you've got a guard one. Probably want another guard or two, like on It Says Sizz and Quackshix, and then you just want block on Otzel and Tyra, and then you're pretty happy with how the team looks.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have David's Wood Elves. He's picked up some skills on the lineman stat trio. He's got dodge on Hickory and wrestle on Chestnut. I like that.
Strength line.
He's gonna have an Agi 5 Blodger eventually, or pretty soon actually, and he's gonna have a Agi 5 Sacker, which is nice to have. Not that he doesn't already have one in Walnut, but Walnut is also carrying the ball because he has sure hands. Interesting pickup there. You don't usually see Wood Elves ever get sure hands.
You don't see elves get sure hands in general.
Sometimes you'll see it on catchers, but generally speaking, yeah, they skip it. But he already had a streak. I would have probably gone sidestep over sure hands on Walnut, but I don't hate it necessarily. It's just kind of an odd pick.
Yeah, it's just less. I think it's just less valuable than it is on other teams. It's good. It's good once. The thing is, it's good on Agi 5 specifically because you just kind of have a really reliable way of picking up in a bunch of tackle zones. But it's not really that worth it on an Agi 4 because suddenly, if there are tackle zones, it becomes hard. And it's a 2+ anyway. And most teams that are Agi 4, if the ball gets stripped from them, they can either strip it right back or have at least pretty good recovery options. Whereas it's a lot more.
He's using it like to collect from scrums. Like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because he's Agi 5, it's very good. On regular Agi 4 elves, I think the reason why you don't see it is because there's not a lot of value. Whereas it's not gaining you much versus other skills. Whereas on Agi 3 players, it's often saving you a reroll and it protects you against strip ball, which you very often don't have a good recovery for because you're also Agi 3. But standard elf teams, your Agi 4, it's easy to recover if you get stripped, and you're not really gonna need to use it to pick up the ball very often. But on Agi 5, it's like pseudo big hand, like free reroll on like probably a 3+ pickup is really handy to just steal it from scrums and run away because you can also dodge out of them as Agi 5.
Yep. And then he's got Aldea, the one he picked up from the market, still kicking around, is an incredibly annoying support piece. Has fend on top of sidestep diving tackle and has guard on top of all that. So
yeah, the guard I think is pretty new.
No, you level to level 6 at 76 SP or 71.
76.
No, it's not. It's like 50 SPP old.
I mean, I don't remember it. I remember talking about the fend sidestep diving tackle and how useful that is, but I don't remember talking about guard. But guard
I think it always had guard.
Okay, I mean, I'm just not remembering. It has been 2 weeks since we've done this.
Tree is 1 SVP away from getting something, probably guard. I mean, it's less useful on trees.
Yeah, but it's a strength skill
on most big guys, but it's still like the best one after a guard or grab rather. And it's already got grab, stand firm. So
yeah, it turns out when you are strength access and you start with strong arm, thick skull, stand firm, and mighty blow, there really aren't very many strength skills left for you to pick from. The options are like grab, guard.
Brand new thrower, still kind of just looking to level him up, probably get him like the Wood Elf thrower is often a late pickup for teams. They don't usually run one early and sometimes don't run one at all, but it can be nice if you can like level one up over the course of like a mid to late TV team.
Yeah, it's a useful tool to have in the toolbox, but it's not something Wood Elves need to win, and it's something that is probably going to level up fairly slowly. It's you're going to score a lot with those catchers and the War Dancers being movement 8.
You can vanity pass a lot with it versus slower teams, but yeah, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it turns out it's pretty hard to vanity pass your way to level 3 with that's 31 vanity passes, or level 4, I guess.
pretty good looking team. The catchers are a tiny bit underdeveloped, but other than that, looking nice.
You can tell I'm a math person because I always call level 1 players level 0 players.
Yes. The 0th level.
Level. You start at nothing. The first level is level 1. Like, it makes sense.
All right. We've looked at the leaderboard. We've looked at the teams. Let's look at this week's results. So as we can see here, Reality Kings did lose against Rats Against Teen Stars, which definitely makes things kind of tense moving into the last few rounds.
That puts us in the situation that we talked about, right, with the 1 point difference and the 0 touchdown differential. So that's going to be a really close race to watch, and we're going to check out that match in next week's review when we get to this stuff.
Yeah, and we'll look at the matchups for both teams after we do the predictions here. So Old World Wardens versus Crypt Lords 2. So this is Undead versus Necro. So this is normally a really good matchup for Necro. Regen does do a thing, but Necro in a lot of ways are just better Undead at this stage of the game. Though, of course, the mummies are the mitigating factor there. Oh, I moved my mic to the side. That's not a good
I think the big thing is the mummy. Like, there's 4 guard on the Undead team, and there's literally a 16-person bench. So like, it's going to be hard to block as long as Tetsuya makes those frenzy blocks hard on the important players like the whites and the mummies, and then just zombies can get blitzed and killed all day. He has fucking 16 players. They're not going to he's not going to run out.
Sure, but I mean the Necro have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players, which is a much more reasonable number of players.
Yeah,
so they're not exactly sitting on a shallow bench themselves. I think it comes down more to the mobility of the werewolves and their ability to more reliably take down pieces. So I want to give this to the Necro most of the
I don't know. Yeah, I think I want to give it to the Necro too, but probably more close than you are thinking of. One punch.
No, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that uneven or anything. But yeah.
I mean, yeah. I just feel that I was mostly looking at the ghouls, right? And I think the strength 4 ball carrying ghoul is going to be really hard for the Undead to deal with. And there's an agi 4 ghoul for the Undead, but the werewolves will be able to deal with that pretty easily, I think. Then we have One Punch Ogre and the Bastion Lizzies. So I mean, we've got Glomar's Lizardmen and Gypsy Prince's Ogres. I predict the Ogres. Let's go. They're going to win eventually. One of these days I'm going to be right.
Yeah, they're not going to beat Lizards, though.
No, they probably won't. One of these days they'll win. I want the Ogres to win, and I'm going to keep giving them my faith until they win.
Fair enough. Stump Force versus Salty Chips. Gotta give this to the Elves. This is a dwarf team set up to beat other pitch control teams. It doesn't have a lot of tools for taking on Elves. It's got 0 mobile tackle. It's out their best runner. The Death Roller is utterly worthless against Dark Elves for the most part. Yeah.
There's some Mighty Blow spam that could do a thing. How much do the Dark Elves have a bench? I think the answer is no. No. Sure. Let's make I'll pick Dwarves. We'll do a spicy one. Why not? I mean, I think the Dark Elves will probably win, but I think the Dwarves can win.
I mean, if they pitch clear the Dwarves or the Dark Elves, sure.
So yeah, we need to have a spicy one somewhere that isn't the Ogre match because that doesn't really count.
And that is the last one that isn't an admin call.
Oh yeah, because that doesn't count.
Stars gets a free. So let's look moving forward. Let's start with Superfed. So Superfed has Dwarves, which I think he's incredibly favored to win that matchup, though he is playing a more pitch control-y game versus a team that is going to have a lot of control to offer. So that's going to be kind of tough. But I think he still wins that on average, just because he's better at scoring. He's better at getting the ball away. It's going to be hard for the Dwarves to keep up with him.
And then there's Chaos,
but that might also cause some damage, is what I was going to say. Kislev do struggle against Mighty Blow Spam because they are only armor 8.
Speaking of Mighty Blow Spam, he plays the Hornstars in My Nemo after that. Which I think is a similar situation. It's going to depend.
Honestly, no. I think he's going to get this is really when Superfed strategy is going to shine, because Superfed aggressively outguards
Oh no, that's what I was gonna say. Is that I think he wins. It's the same. He's gonna, unless the Hornstars get a bunch of guard by then, which is pretty unlikely. I think Superfed is gonna win that, but it depends on how the dwarf game goes, right? Because he's probably gonna win the dwarf game, but there is Mighty Blow spam, so he might lose if he loses, like, or even just MNGs a couple of those guard pieces. Suddenly, this game becomes a lot harder. But it's still his. It's as of right now. I think Superfed is favored. But if that dwarf game goes badly, this game also has a chance of going very badly.
I think both games are going to go well for Superfed. I just think that of the two, the dwarves are more likely to cause damage than the chaos.
Yeah, and if the dwarves cause a lot of damage, the chaos match will be hard because it'll be easier for the chaos to cause more damage.
Yeah.
Right? So I think he wins both of them, and it just really depends on how hard he gets hurt by the dwarves. And I think unless the dwarves get really lucky, he's not going to get hurt enough for it to matter.
Yeah. Cryptlord's 2 Boogaloo is a bit scary, though. He does have to play the Palm Necro. Thankfully, they don't have tackle, so his dodge is going to do a lot of work. Well, they have tackle on the whites, but the whites don't have Mighty Blow, so that's less scary from a damage point of view, at least. So not the easiest matches to round out. Not that I think he's unfavored in any of them. I think he's pretty heavily favored in all matches, all those 3 at least. But there's a good likelihood that he might. I'm really failing at sentences. There's like a good chance he could take some damage on the way to the playoffs, or at least like for contention. For the
I think the big thing to pay attention to is the dwarf game. I think the hardest. I think the hardest out of those 3 is probably going to be the dwarves. I think he wins it for sure, but I think
the hardest to win is the Necro. I think the hardest to escape unscathed is probably the dwarves,
and that's the first one coming up. So his the other 2 matches I think are going to depend on how well that one goes. So that's going to be one to pay attention to. And if he wins it handily, then I think he's just going to win the rest of the div. But
I mean, I think your palm tackle guy will get a couple of good shots at people, but then you're going to find yourself with red dice every time you start your turn because he has 5 guard and you have 1.
Yeah,
like he can just like base you up, and chaos are like not terribly good at teams that can just go all mans against them because you lose the scrum. You win the blitz, but you lose the scrum.
Yeah, I mean he'll
like
do
the classic like dwarf versus claw mighty blow too, right? Like they accept that you're going to get a claw mighty blow blitz, but then they just like surround your guys, and eventually if they don't get removed quickly, will just mighty blow you to death.
Yeah, sure, you get one really good scary claw mighty blow blitz a turn, but you get one. And if you're not going to remove somebody literally every turn, you might remove somebody every 3 or 4 turns, but if you remove somebody every 3 turns, that's 2 removals by the time the half's over.
Yeah. Claw Mighty Blow has a 33% chance on a knockdown to remove a player.
And you got a knockdown too against Blodge everywhere. It is tackle, but yeah. And then so if we look at the rats, we've got Mordheim Cryptors. So that is the Dr. Spragooter's Undead.
Should be pretty easy, though. Undead can cause some damage. But Dr. Spragooter's Undead is not looking great right now.
There's only 1 tackle. It is Mighty Blow tackle, so he's going to be able to do things against the rats, but there's no sure hands, which is the biggest deal. It's just going to be hard.
I don't see Mighty Blow tackle. You're looking at the wrong team.
Am I? Oh, I was looking at the Tetsuya's team.
There's 0 tackle. Like, this is a pretty easy win for the rats.
No tackle, no sure hands. Yeah.
To like the Mighty Blow spam, but
yeah, that's not difficult for the rats.
That's going to be an easy win for the rats. It's rats against Teen Stars, right?
Yeah, and then against the Old World Wardens, which is the other Undead team, which is slightly harder because there's a Mighty Blow tackle, right? But there's still no sure hands yet, so not terribly difficult.
This is the team that's probably most likely to cause some damage. Like this is a decently tough team for him to like survive unscathed, but there's no sure hands, which is the biggest problem. And Jimmy Jr., where is he, is pretty far from sure hands. He's only just picked up Agi, so he's gonna have a tough time holding onto the ball against the rats.
I think those are 2 pretty easy matches for the rats. And then the last one is against the Bash and Lizzies. So we've got, we're gonna have the Slibbly Lizards. But
yeah, I mean he's got to tackle Mighty Blowsaurus, which is a big help. Certainly, they can 3-die. They only need 1 assist, I should say, to 3-die Gutter Runners.
Yep.
But lizards struggle pretty heavily against rats unless they can get removals, and they usually can't because they don't have a lot of Mighty Blow.
Yeah.
So again, a tough matchup. I think the Rats have a much easier final 3 games. People were saying that earlier, and
I agree. I think the Rats final games are going to be much easier, which is unfortunate for Superfed because Superfed needs the Rats to draw or lose a game at this point.
Man, it can always happen. I think I was nearly undefeated going into the last 2 or 3 games of our season, and then I just got some combination of diced / wrecked over the course of those games. So yeah, you did one of them.
Yeah, and it happens, right? I made minors playoffs because 2 teams tied specifically, right? Like, it wasn't I need this team to beat this team. It was I exactly need these 2 teams to tie or I don't go, and they did. So like it can happen.
2 separate matches, like they weren't playing each other. Yeah,
they both needed to tie, and they both did. So it's possible, but I feel like the Rats have an easier time at this. So if I had to pick a team, I would pick Razzlestorm to go, and that's just because I think both teams are going to win all 3 of their remaining matches, and if both teams do, then Razzlestorm is going to be 1 point ahead and therefore go, because there's only 1 playoff spot.
Yeah, but anything can happen, and we'll be following it super closely.
Yeah, we'll be paying attention. There's a chance, and Tetsuya is a good coach, and Tetsuya does have the mighty blow tackle. White
and Glomar is obviously a good coach too. I mean, like, he's playing. I think Superfed's matchups like race-wise are harder, but I think Razzlestorm is playing like stronger coaches, maybe not even like stronger coaches, just like coaches that have been doing better. Do you make more coffee? Jesus.
I thought you meant me. I'm like, I haven't had coffee in a while.
I don't know. Tristan handed me a cup of coffee because she's a wonderful person.
I'm gonna go get more coffee after this. But yeah, so I think I would probably pick Razzlestorm, and that's just because I expect both players to win all the remaining games. And then from Div 6, I think we're going to see Professor Chaos for sure, and then we're going to see either Harry Koo or not Nylock, I think, are the two choices for the second spot there.
Yeah.
So I mean that's it.
I really want JJ Cash to go because I think I like that team the most. It's just like the most interesting. Harry Koo's performance is probably the most impressive, given that he has like those like lame duck werewolves and is still pulling out a 6-2
and Glomar is doing really well too. I mean, he's in 3rd right now with a lizard team that doesn't have any particular massive skills, and like it's like, you know, he's in 3rd on Slibbly lizards basically.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that both of those results are very impressive. All right, This has been a 2.5-hour recap.
It has been, and we're back on our normal schedule. So this Thursday.
Guys. Sorry for the like kind of the weird delays and the missed week. We kind of fumbled it pretty hard.
Yeah, but we'll be back on Thursday, and we have games in particular that we're going to be looking at because they're, you know, games that matter for playoff stuff. So we'll see you guys on Thursday. We're getting close to being done here. A couple more weeks and then playoff time. I'm very excited for that. So yeah, that's going to be us for this week. All right, thanks for hanging out, guys. That's been us. We'll see you. I'll be back on Tuesday, like I said, but we'll see you for the next recap on Thursday. So thanks for hanging out. Hope you had a good time. Until then, I've been Steakmittens.
And I'm Shadorra.
See you later, folks.